Chapter 891, Distorting the Truth. Chapter 891, Distorting the Truth. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. What? All the immortal zombies heard Fang Yuan's words and were shocked. You, bullshit. Bo Dan felt a strong sense of humiliation as he burst into anger. Shark Demon squinted. He looked at Bo Dan and Fang Yuan, his expression turned dark. What is going on? Bo Dan was gritting his teeth from anger. He said, Lord Shark Demon, I am willing to use my years of reputation as a guarantee. There are no issues with my action just now. This Xianxia might look like a gentleman. Bo Dan pointed at Fang Yuan, but he is a small-minded scoundrel that is jealous of other people's capabilities. He must have seen my superior performance and decided to slander me. Lord Shark Demon and everyone else, please see the truth. I am most clear about Brother Xianxia's abilities. In my opinion, you are the scoundrel. Tai Bai Yunsheng was extremely angry. He retorted immediately. All of you, shut up. Seeing that the situation was going out of control, Shark Demon shouted. He turned to Fang Yuan, Xianxia, what do you have to say? Fang Yuan smiled bitterly, I have nothing to say. Seeing this attitude, Su Bai Man's eyebrows raised. But Fang Yuan continued, I have a question however, for Sir Bo Dan. Fang Yuan was not angry, he had a gentlemanly demeanor. When compared to Bo Dan's hysteric and frenzied state, there was a clear contrast. Bo Dan saw Fang Yuan's demeanor and felt even more jealousy and hatred. He snorted, what question do you have? Fang Yuan smiled lightly. He stared at Bo Dan as he tried to incite him. If I ask you, would you dare to answer the truth? Bo Dan gritted his teeth. He knew that this was Fang Yuan's trap, but he could no longer back down now. He forced the words out of his throat. Go ahead and ask. Fang Yuan sighed. He showed a look of, I do not want to have conflict with people, yet people come and find trouble with me. He said, I will ask you, how many hidden goo worms are there now in this freezing rain frozen earth battlefield killer move? Shark Demon and the others looked tightly at Bo Dan. Bo Dan's heart jumped. He opened his mouth and wanted to speak, but he only managed to stretch out his tongue and lick his lips. Fang Yuan's question was like a dagger stabbing directly into Bo Dan's heart. Bo Dan had only found one spot where there were hidden goo worms. After deducing, he found that there were no issues and acted to destroy the goo worm. Now that this goo worm was removed, there would definitely be new flaws that were not there before forming. But if Bo Dan wanted to deduce the location of more hidden goo worms, he would need time. Bo Dan had thought of lying, but at the next moment, he denied this stupid idea. Because this was very easy to verify. If he said that an area had hidden goo worms, he could be told to simply attack it to show everyone. Actions speak louder than words. Bo Dan was speechless. He clenched his fists subconsciously. But soon, he understood that he could not lie. He loudly responded, if you want to seek help from me, I will satisfy you. Give me some time, I will advise you after I finish deducing. Goo immortals all had their own shrewdness. After hearing these words, they remained emotionless in appearance, but they were shaking their heads internally. Bo Dan's pathetic state was imprinted in everyone's minds. These goo immortals were not idiots of course, they understood that Bo Dan spoke without enough confidence. Xianxia had exposed Bo Dan simply through a question. Tai Bai Yunsheng looked at Bo Dan with some pity. He sighed internally, with just your ability, you want to compete with Fang Yuan? Fang Yuan knew that Bo Dan would reply like this. He laughed heartily. Sir Bo Dan must have deduced only one flaw. But this hidden goo worm is only a trap. If you continue your deduction and have more patience, you will find more flaws and hidden goo worms. That way, you might begin to understand how rash your actions were. Oh. Bo Dan's lips twitched. He had thought of a reply. He tried to trouble Fang Yuan, then tell everyone how inappropriate my actions were. How did I cause more trouble? What kind of trap was this flaw? You should answer properly. Lady Su Bai Man has a lie detection method. This flaw was naturally not a trap. Fang Yuan could not answer him. But Fang Yuan had prepared his response as well. He laughed, my wisdom path inheritance is unique, how can I leak it here? Bo Dan, you made a good scheme, you want to stealthily learn my wisdom path techniques? Utter bullshit. Bo Dan flew into rage. Bo Dan spoke rudely, but Fong Yuan was not unhappy. He looked at Shark Demon. Shark Demon was frowning deeply. He was an observer, watching Fong Yuan and Bo Dan argue their way out. Fong Yuan understood that Shark Demon was still biased towards Bo Dan from this one glance. This was nothing strange. Shark Demon and Bo Dan were members of Zombie Alliance. They had worked together many times and had spent much time together. As the saying goes, an acquaintance may not sow discord among friends. This was only the first time Fong Yuan had met Shark Demon. He was a stranger. Bo Dan and Shark Demon had a much closer relationship. Fong Yuan laughed, his expression changed as he looked at Bo Dan with contempt. He said disdainfully, foolish clown, I will give you a lesson today. Watch closely. Saying so, Fong Yuan's fingers moved like swords, drawing lines in the air. Starlight flew out of his fingertips, they stopped in the air, being either close or far away from him. Here, 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 and all these other places, they have hidden mortal goo. If you do not believe me, you can try to attack them yourselves. For example, this point needs a fire path attack to destroy the goo worm. That point needs an ice path technique to be exposed, before using lightning to destroy the goo worm. And for this point, if you want to destroy the mortal goo, you have to wait until the next wave to destroy it. Fong Yuan spoke quickly as the starlight specks floated in the air. There were 8 or 9 of them. The goo immortals were all astute. Fong Yuan told them the locations of the hidden goo worms and the methods to destroy them in detail. He was obviously not afraid of them giving it a try. Such intense confidence made them believe him without any doubts. Bo Dan stared with wide-opened eyes. He did not know how to rebuke him. He got agitated, he wanted to take action. I want to see if your words are true. Wait. Fong Yuan held out his hand, stopping Bo Dan. Bo Dan could not longer back out of this. He showed intense surprise and joy upon hearing that. He showed a cold smile. Why, Xianxia, are you afraid? Fong Yuan sighed, giving Bo Dan a glance. He was like an adult looking at a mischievous child. Bo Dan almost jumped in anger. Fong Yuan spoke, there are hidden goo worms here indeed, I am not afraid of anyone probing it. But these areas cannot be damaged. Just like what you did earlier, these are traps that are interconnected. If they are destroyed, it would affect the entire battlefield killer move. Not only would my wisdom path deductions become completely obsolete, I would even have to restart from scratch. All these areas that I pointed out have troublesome connections. I am unable to deduce which points are safe and which are not. After saying that, Fong Yuan turned to the immortal zombie Shark Demon, bowing, Lord Shark Demon, I am truly sorry, this is because I am not good enough. Seeing Fong Yuan's humble attitude, it was like a subtle mockery. Bo Dan's eyelids were twitching, he wanted to jump and pull out all of Fong Yuan's white beard, tear his blue robe apart, step on him and grind Fong Yuan's clean, pinkish face into the dirty soil. But he could not do that, because Shark Demon was returning the bow to Fong Yuan. Fong Yuan had just spoken and bowed to Shark Demon. From Shark Demon's perspective, he was the leader of them, he had to have manners. Furthermore, Xianxia was Tai Bai Yunxing's good friend, he had introduced the former. Now that Xianxia was bowing to Shark Demon, how could Shark Demon not bow back? Zombie Alliance was in the righteous path, even though the members came from everywhere and a large portion were from the demonic path. Once they entered Zombie Alliance, they would have to act like proper members of the righteous path and follow the rules. Also, after hearing their conversation, Shark Demon had a grasp of the situation. In his opinion, Xianxia's wisdom path attainment was higher than Bo Dan. Such a talent was needed in his future attempts to take down Yulu Blessed Land. He had to bow in return as courtesy. After that, Shark Demon spoke in a very polite tone, I am deeply enlightened by Brother Xiang's words, I wonder how we should proceed from here. Shark Demon was at rank 7, even though he was an immortal zombie, he was a famous expert in Eastern Sea. He took the initiative to call Xianxia brother. In everyone's opinion, Shark Demon's attitude was truly very gentle. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly. It is all because of my low ability. Earlier I had a hint of inspiration and did not want to destroy that goo worm as it would cause my hard work to go to waste. I was anxious and spoke without consideration. Sigh, the saying goes, a strong dragon cannot suppress a local snake. I am just a weak snake, while everyone here are expert dragons. Bo Dan was so angry he was breathing roughly, his eyes were bloodshot. Fang Yuan's words were humble, all of his words were, in consideration of Bo Dan's face, but he actually slapped Bo Dan loudly countless times. This time however, Bo Dan did not retort. He was extremely angry, but he was also feeling uncertain. His wisdom path inheritance was very incomplete, it was far inferior to Fang Yuan's. Since Fang Yuan could expose so many flaws here, Bo Dan also knew that he could not match Fang Yuan, he just refused to admit the truth. Don't tell me, did I really make a mistake? This mortal goo was really a trap just like what that damn Xianxia said. Poor Bo Dan, he was framed by Fang Yuan, but even he himself had fallen into self-doubt. Fang Yuan's peripheral vision was on Bo Dan, he observed all his expressions and reactions. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly and humbly on the outside, but he was laughing coldly internally. He had wanted to retreat long ago. The next wave of attacks would be extremely powerful. If they are careless, some of these goo immortals might die. Even if they could endure it, their immortal essence expenditure would definitely be severe. Such severe loss would make the goo immortals feel severe distress, but Fang Yuan had no way of dismantling this battlefield killer move. By then, the goo immortals would have wasted so many resources, yet Fang Yuan, who was their hope, would make no progress. It was easy to imagine how unhappy they would be with him. Thus, Fang Yuan's humbleness was not just to mock Bo Dan on purpose, he was trying to plant a seed in these immortals' minds. We have to retreat for sure, but the way we retreat is the question. Fang Yuan, after thinking up to this moment, glanced at Bo Dan, before speaking to Shark Demon. There is little time until the next wave of attacks. With this change, my earlier efforts have gone to waste. I can only restart and try again, but I will not lie, there is little hope of success, I need even more time than before. Most importantly, this wave of attacks will be extremely powerful. In my opinion, we should retreat now. The immortals were not willing to give up now, they had already reached this step. Shark Demon said, I hope Brother Xianxia will give it a try. Thus, Fang Yuan pretended to sit in the air as he shut his eyes. Soon, the fifth wave of attacks came, the ice needle storm rained down as dozens of snow monsters charged towards the goo immortals. The wave is much stronger as expected. Let's go. This is just the start, and it is already so tough. Bo Dan, I don't know what to say to you. Bo Dan's expression was dark, he gritted his teeth, his gaze was cold. He could feel the goo immortals looking at him, it hurt him more than the ice rain. The goo immortal's words were like whips lashing on his soul. Xianxia. Xianxia. He shouted internally, chanting this name. It was a pity that this was merely a fake name. After enduring for a while, Shark Demon saw that Fang Yuan was not making progress, his evaluation of the gains and losses this time had completely turned over, he could only squeeze out the word, retreat. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 892, Alcohol and Food, Fishing for Sharks. Chapter 892, Alcohol and Food, Fishing for Sharks. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. The banquet's atmosphere was very cohesive. Even though this attack on Yulu blessed land caused everyone to end up suffering losses, after they left, Shark Demon still kindly invited Tai Bai Yunsheng and Fang Yuan to his home as guests. Tai Bai Yunsheng's man as before immortal goo was something Shark Demon needed. Fang Yuan, who was under the identity of Xianxia, had deep wisdom path attainment. Shark Demon and Su Bai Man saw his value, especially in their attempt to take down Yulu blessed land. Thus, Shark Demon invited Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng. It was not a surprise. Shark Demon stayed in a place called Shark Sea. This was a huge sea area, being over 3 million square kilometers. This Shark Sea was of similar size to the South China Sea on Earth. That was to say, it was as if the entire South China Sea belonged to Shark Demon alone. Everything inside the sea area, countless types of sharks, seaweed and aquatic plants, the rocks on the seabed, the huge amount of sea water, all of them were Shark Demon's possession. Like in northern plains, where fertile grasslands were split up between people, in eastern sea areas that were rich with resources were also distributed among people. Even though Shark Demon was an immortal zombie, he had immense strength. He had the ability to control this sea area. His palace was at the bottom of the sea, at the center of this Shark Sea area. During the banquet, there were all sorts of food from Eastern Sea. They were delicious and filled with the local flavors. No matter what the intentions of both sides were, on the surface, this was a very effective banquet. There was a harmonious atmosphere. Shark Demon enjoyed his delicious wine. Even though he was an immortal zombie, with the help of goo worms, he could temporarily regain his sense of taste. Soon after, he put down his wine cup. At his will, the top of his majestic and beautiful palace turned transparent. Everyone, take a look. These are divine spear sharks, these are shattering teeth golden sharks, and over there are silver scale great treasure sharks. These are all pets that I had nurtured with much effort. Shark Demon pointed, not concealing his proud feelings at all. Fang Yuan raised his head and looked, only to see that the seawater was dark and dim. The palace lights could only shine for 10 meters of distance ahead. The underwater palace was shining in bright lights. If seen from the outside, it was like a huge oddly shaped jewel that was emitting a warm light. Fang Yuan had his investigative killer moves. The dark seawater could not obstruct him. He soon saw the sharks that Shark Demon was referring to. The divine spear sharks moved around alone. They had a peculiar appearance. The tip of their heads were sharp. They were in the shape of long spears. Their bodies were not covered in smooth shark skin, but had a bony texture. The divine spear sharks swam around in the sea, charging around with no fear. The spear on their heads was very sharp, while not inhibiting their advancement. Everywhere they went, underwater rocks were smashed as pathways was created by them. As for the shattering teeth golden sharks, they were the most numerous. 200 to 300 formed into one group. These sharks had very small and sharp teeth. When the shattering teeth golden sharks opened their mouths, Fang Yuan could see that in their mouths, both upper and lower jaws, they had 6 rows of sharp teeth. Even though these golden sharks were carnivores, they did not prey on large fish. Instead they were like whales, they only ate small fish and prawns. The 6 rows of teeth formed 6 tight defenses, separating the sand from fish and prawns. No matter how small the fish were, they could not escape from the golden sharks. Silver scale great treasure sharks were the largest. They would be around the sizes of small whales from Earth. This type of treasure shark lived in a family of 3 or 4. Usually, they would move about casually. When food appeared, they would move quickly and hunt. Even though the silver scale great treasure shark had a huge body, its body did not match the incredible speed it could display. Once it moved, its speed was extremely fast. It would be like a flash of silver lightning in the depths of the sea. Silver scale great treasure sharks had the most rogue nature. Instead of hunting other fish, they ate other sharks as food. Of course, if it were the stronger sharks like the divine spear sharks or shattering teeth golden sharks, the treasure sharks would not go after them if they had sufficient food. How is it, the fish that I am raising, are they all right? Shark Demon looked at how Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng were dazed. He felt incredibly pleased. More than all right. These sharks are all lively and energetic. They were raised well. This sea area has all sorts of creatures living in a well-balanced habitat. These sharks all have a lot of goo worms in them. I even saw 1 or 2 desolate beast sharks earlier. Fang Yuan said. Tai Bai Yunsheng also sighed. He nodded. No wonder Eastern Sea is the region with the most abundant resources. This sea area already showcases a lot to me. Shark Demon raised his head slightly as he laughed. Su Bai Man was beside him. She smiled. Please do not praise him so much. My husband's hobby is to raise these sharks in his free time. He particularly enjoys hearing the praise of others towards these sharks. During the banquet, be it Shark Demon or Su by Man, they were much more amicable than in Yu Blessed Land. These two could differentiate work from social life. During public occasions, they had to control the situation, thus they were stern and serious, without any hint of carelessness. Privately, they were hospitable and warm. By making jokes at times, they could make other people feel much closer to them. This couple not only had great battle strength, they also had a lot of experience in human interaction. It was no wonder they could obtain such an important mission like attacking Yu Blessed Land from Zombie Alliance after much competition. Even though Shark Demon and Su by Man had invested a lot into Yu Blessed Land, having made a huge loss already, losing a lot of their wealth, if Yu Blessed Land were to be successfully taken down, Shark Demon and Su by Man would receive 10 times or even dozens of times as much profits. Most immortal zombies would not undertake such important missions. Only Su by Man and Shark Demon, these veteran experts, had the foundation to support an immense expenditure in the early stages. Hearing the praise from Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng, Shark Demon smiled. You flatter me, ha ha ha. Actually, this sea area is only ranked 46th among the list of Eastern Sea's sea areas. Above my sea area, there is the elegant splendorous sea area, the flourishing bumpy sea area, and the Song Clan Gu Immortals, Song Yi Shi's poetic emotion sea area. Both of you have not been in Eastern Sea for long, you might not have seen the 10 great sea areas in Eastern Sea. These 10 sea areas are all incredible. Rainbow Island's Rainbow Sea Area, the seawater is beautiful and in all colors, and yet the colors do not smudge. Boundless Forest Sea Area has trees that are thousands of meters tall growing under the sea, the tree crowns can penetrate the water surface, and the huge number of trees form a huge underwater forest. For the Merman Sea Area, female mermen 1. Are extremely amorous. There are countless mermen living there, they have incredible strength, being one of Eastern Sea's top 10 super forces. Tai Bai Yunxing heard all these as his expression froze. He sighed again. The world is vast, nature is also vast, Eastern Sea has so many precious resources, and countless talents, we can truly feel how insignificant each of us are. Merman. Fang Yuan's heart moved, he thought of a certain memory in his previous life. After eating the food, the banquet was reaching its end. Shark Demon said, since this is the first time that both of you are here, I have prepared some small gifts, please do accept them. This was an obvious way to improve their relationship. Fang Yuan did not reject him, he wanted to get closer to Shark Demon anyway, he showed a look of joy as he cupped his fists, then I will thank Lord Shark Demon in advance. Shark Demon laughed heartily, he clapped, good, I like the forthright nature of Northern Plains Gu Immortals. But for the gifts I prepared, you will have to collect them yourselves. Oh. Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng looked at each other with a sense of confusion. Su Bai Man explained while concealing her smile, both of you might not know, my husband does not invite guests here very often. But when he does, he would gift them some sharks. The guest would need to catch the sharks themselves, as for how many and what type of sharks they get, that would be decided by the guest's ability. So that's it. Tai Bai Yunsheng and Fang Yuan realized. Please start moving. You only have 7 minutes, during this period, you need to stay inside the palace, it will be against the rules if you go out. Shark Demon said. Tai Bai Yunsheng was very interested, these sharks were in top-notch condition, they were very valuable. Even if he could not use them, he could sell them for a huge sum of immortal essence stones. Moreover, there were sharks that suited him here. Fang Yuan's was moved, he thought of something, isn't this the famous shark fishing banquet from my previous life? In his previous life, by the time Fang Yuan came to Eastern Sea, Shark Demon and Su Bai Man had already died, the cause was unknown. This Shark Sea became someone else's possession. The Gu Immortal who occupied this place, Zhu Xingbo, was very hospitable and had a wide network of friendships. While holding a banquet, he also played this game, allowing his guests to fish for sharks in the palace. It turned out that the origin of this was Shark Demon, Gu Immortal Zhu Xingbo was only imitating him. The fishing had started, they had limited time. Fang Yuan resisted his urge to enter the sea to take a look. There were many groups of sharks swimming around freely near the underwater palace. Among these sharks, the ones with the highest value are those that Shark Demon pointed out earlier: Divine Spear Shark, Shattering Teeth Golden Shark, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Shark. But these sharks do not suit me, Fang Yuan thought in his mind. The ones which suited him were Blood Fiend Sharks and Star Mark Sharks. The former was suitable for Hu Immortal Blessed Land after the Blood Calamity, the latter suited Star Form Blessed Land. They could be raised in the most central lake. However, the quantity of these two types of sharks was far less than the Divine Spear Shark, Shattering Teeth Golden Shark, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Shark. It was because the ferocity of the Blood Fiend Shark and Star Mark Shark was inferior to the Divine Spear Shark, Shattering Teeth Golden Shark, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Shark. This underwater palace was Shark Demon's place of residence. During normal times, when Shark Demon had the time, he would toss fresh food and cause the sharks to fight for them. As time passed, this place became the sanctuary of the sharks. The strongest shark groups would stay here. It was difficult for Fang Yuan to obtain Blood Fiend Sharks and Star Mark Sharks. He was inside the underwater palace, he could not travel around and capture sharks in the water. This was only a game. Shark Demon was not generous enough to let others capture sharks in his sea area casually. Fang Yuan felt some regret, but he had to give up on the Blood Fiend Sharks and Star Mark Sharks. As for the Divine Spear Sharks, Shattering Teeth Golden Sharks, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Sharks, he did not want them. After 2 months of accumulation, he already had 500 to 600 Immortal Essence Stones. With such wealth, he did not need such a small amount. How many Divine Spear Sharks, Shattering Teeth Golden Sharks, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Sharks could be obtained in 7 minutes? Fang Yuan was not skilled in capturing beasts. Using an immortal killer move to capture beasts was too wasteful, unless he was trying to capture desolate beasts. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 893, Song Clan Song Yishe. Chapter 893, Song Clan Song Yishe. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan quickly thought, and decided to help Tai Bai Yunsheng. Tai Bai Yunsheng wanted to capture cloud-line sharks which had a small and exquisite bodies. Not only could they move in the sea, they could also fly and survive for a long time. They were suitable for Tai Bai Blessed Land. However, cloud-line sharks were proficient at hiding. Were it not for this, they could not have survived near the sea palace between the 3 shark groups. Tai Bai Yunsheng's shark fishing ran into a problem at the very start. His target was cloud-line sharks, but Divine Spear Sharks, Shattering Teeth Golden Sharks and Silver Scale Great Treasure Sharks would not just look on from the side. Like smoke spreading in the sea, Tai Bai Yunsheng's methods stirred up these 3 shark groups. As far as they were concerned, this sanctuary was their joint territory, and now an anomaly appeared. Like beasts whose territories were invaded, they naturally had to teach these audacious invaders a lesson. Tai Bai Yunsheng was specialized in healing and was not proficient in fishing. These 3 shark groups caused great disturbance to him. After Fang Yuan helped, the disturbances were mostly eliminated. Tai Bai Yunsheng felt his pressure lifting and immediately sent him a grateful look. Fang Yuan smiled lightly and nodded to Tai Bai Yunsheng, not saying anything. Finally, with Fang Yuan's cooperation, Tai Bai Yunsheng was able to capture an ideal quantity of cloud-line sharks. I thank both Lord Shark Demon and Lord Su Bai Man. Tai Bai Yunsheng had profited, thus he stood up and bowed solemnly to the 2. You two indeed have a deep relationship. Shark Demon sighed softly. After chatting for a while, this banquet reached the end. Both guests and hosts enjoyed it to the fullest. Shark Demon personally accompanied Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng out of the sea area. They looked on until the 2 had shrunk to the size of ants in the horizons. Su Bai Man's gaze flashed as she suddenly spoke, "Dear, what do you think of this Xianxia?" Shark Demon's smile disappeared completely and his gaze turned aloof. this person seems humble but in fact is arrogant and also has lot of hidden thoughts. He is different from Tai Bai Yunsheng and is not someone easy to deal with. He paused for a moment before continuing. Bo Dan is too useless. He was led around by Xianxia from start to finish. Bo Dan is a person on our side, but was embarrassed like that by Xianxia. Bo Dan's embarrassment caused me to lose face as well. This Xianxia did whatever he wanted since the moment he came. There is ruthlessness behind his gentle appearance. He is no kind person. If I had my previous temperament, I would have already given him a few hard slaps and taught him to be obedient. He would learn that this is Eastern Sea and not Northern Plains. Su Bai Man hurriedly consoled, "Dear, calm your anger, this type of person with skill will naturally have arrogance. As for Bo Dan's loss of composure this time, it is also justifiable. Think of it, his private sea area has already been occupied for many years by Blazing Heaven Demoness and she still doesn't have the intention to return it. Bo Dan recently went to beg for it but was instead beaten badly by Blazing Heaven Demoness. Blazing Heaven Demoness is a Northern Plains immortal zombie, thus Bo Dan naturally looks upon Northern Plains Gu immortals with anger. Moreover, he lost his private sea area and is without other means of income. He is in extremely strained circumstances. The reward from attacking Yulu blessed land is plentiful and it is his best chance to save himself from poverty. However, Xianxia arrived with wisdom path methods better than his. It is unavoidable for Bo Dan to be furious for having his source of income stolen. This is a matter of great importance to him, thus it was also unavoidable for him to lose his usual state of mind. As he heard this, Shark Demon's eyes brightened, and he looked at Su Bai Man with a smiling expression. "Why are you suddenly speaking about Bo Dan so favorably? Ah, it must be that Bo Dan secretly sent a big gift to you, right?" Su Bai Man covered her mouth as she laughed. "I cannot hide anything from you. It is not a big gift, just a palm-sized medicine ice." Shark Demon, however, was very surprised. Although the quantity of this medicine ice is small, it is a genuine rank 8 immortal material. Where did Bo Dan find this? Heh, he is really spending a lot to protect his role. Su Bai Man lightly shook her head. Bo Dan doesn't seem to be eye-catching, but to be able to have this success, he isn't a simple character. Shark Demon said with a profound voice, "It seems Bo Dan really wants to grasp this opportunity. He might not have much experience in this situation, but even if he is incompetent, he also has some use. Xianxia has great capability, but he is an outsider. I definitely want to bring Bo Dan, just to keep this Xianxia in check and stop him from being solely dominant in the future. If we let him be proud and insolent because of his talent, what will happen in the future? What if when we are attacking the blessed land, we are trapped by him, what will we do then? We don't understand wisdom path methods, but with Bo Dan, we can make Xianxia restrain himself and prevent him from making mischief." Su Bai Man put her mind at ease, gazing dreamily at this man whom she loved deeply. "My husband really is most capable. Bo Dan and Xianxia are playing in your hands, and won't be able to create any trouble." "Ha ha ha, dear, don't praise me so much." Fang Yuan followed Tai Bai Yunsheng to a nameless island. This nameless island was the home of Tai Bai Yunsheng previously. It was extremely crude, but because of Tai Bai Yunsheng, it gradually started becoming slightly famous in the circles of Eastern Sea Gu immortals. In this invasion of Yulu blessed land, Shark Demon had to return in defeat after the difficult round. To carry out another invasion, they needed time to prepare. Tai Bai Yunsheng wanted to use this free time to meet the many requests he had received in the past. One had to say that landscape as before, this time Path Immortal Gu, was very much sought after. Something unexpected could happen any time. There would always be some issues appearing from time to time in the sea areas the Gu immortals managed. Landscape as before had outstanding effects in this aspect and showed instant results. Fang Yuan, how about coming together with me? We can take care of each other on one hand and I can also introduce you to others. With this trip, you can also get familiar with the nearby Gu immortals. Tai Bai Yunsheng suggested. This suggestion was very appropriate, but Fang Yuan already had a plan, as he said to Tai Bai Yunsheng with a wry smile, "Old Bai, it is better if you don't let others know our relation as much as possible. Because the thing I am about to do might very well implicate you. Ah. Wasn't this trip to get a share of Yulu blessed land, then join Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance? Tai Bai Yunxing felt something wrong from Fang Yuan's tone. It seemed like he was going to create trouble. With regards to Fang Yuan's ability to create trouble, Tai Bai Yunxing had a deep impression of it. The setup in Imperial Court blessed land and 88 True Yang building by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was destroyed because of Fang Yuan. Moreover, this was accomplished when Fang Yuan had still been immortal. Now, he was an immortal zombie. This ability to create trouble had definitely increased sharply. Fang Yuan, you shouldn't act recklessly. What are you planning? Tai Bai Yunxing worriedly looked at Fang Yuan. My good senior brother, don't worry, I am doing this to join Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance. Fang Yuan consoled. Don't call me senior brother, a skilled person is a teacher, I still don't have enough qualifications to be your senior brother. Tai Bai Yunxing hurriedly shook his hand, worriedly inquiring about the details. Fang Yuan revealed a little, Old Bai, have you thought about how inappropriate it is for me to join Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance? Tai Bai Yunxing blinked. Although you are under the identity of a Northern Plains Gu immortal, Eastern Sea has had cases of Gu immortals of other regions joining their local forces. Moreover, this Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance is the main headquarters of the zombie alliances over all 5 regions. It is an enormous force. Other Zombie Alliance branches don't recruit living Gu immortals, but Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance recruits them. Your identity won't pose a problem. Fang Yuan shook his head. Those like Bo Dan who have joined Zombie Alliance are those who are living a miserable life and can barely scrape by. These type of people are at the bottom layer among Gu immortals. Their positions in Zombie Alliance are even lower than immortal zombies. But I, Xianxia, am different. Not mentioning my immortal Gu, I have strong wisdom path methods which can deduce the battlefield killer move in Yulu blessed land. People like me, no matter how we live, we are not likely to join Zombie Alliance. As long as I reveal just a slight intent to do so, I believe other righteous path forces would welcome me warmly. It is reasonable. Tai Bai Yunxing nodded. Joining these forces means losing freedom. Especially to foreign Gu immortals like us, the monitoring and restrictions are much more strict. Otherwise, why would there be so many lone cultivators? So, for a Gu immortal like me to join Zombie Alliance, not only should it be my own wish, but it also requires a strong external pressure. Fang Yuan nodded. Tai Bai Yunxing's eyes shined brightly, as he asked, what pressure? Fang Yuan smiled before lightly asking a question that made Tai Bai Yunxing pale, which is the closest super force from here? Song clan was a colossus that had occupied Eastern Sea for hundreds of years. This clan was an existence that was in the top 10 even among the many super forces in Eastern Sea. The official, publicly known number of Gu immortals in the clan was 18. Song clan's first supreme elder, Song Chi Yuan, had already been rank 8 for many years. His battle strength was unfathomable. Song Chi Yuan's son, Song Jiaoling, was a rank 7 Gu immortal with outstanding talent. He was cultured and elegant, and had been publicly recognized as the successor for Song clan's leadership. But unfortunately, over 10 years ago, Song Jiaoling was schemed against and died, leaving behind a daughter. The daughter's surname was naturally Song and her given name was Yi. She was the only descendant left of Song Chi Yuan's bloodline. Since a young age, Song Yi was pampered by her grandfather Song Chi Yuan. In any world, some people are naturally born with a silver spoon in their mouths. In the world where most people were struggling to survive, and most Gu immortals constantly on their guard, preparing to undergo their next tribulations and calamities, rushing around everywhere to raise their strength and cultivation, Song Yi was just sitting back and enjoying life, all her cultivation resources provided by Song Chi Yuan. She only needed to say the word and her grandfather, Song Chi Yuan, would make sure they were fulfilled. When Song Yi underwent immortal ascension, Song Chi Yuan personally protected her. After advancing to a rank 6 Gu immortal, Song Chi Yuan sent his granddaughter a big gift, a sea area with an area of 4 million square kilometers. It was slightly larger than the South China Sea on Earth. Not only this sea area was also extremely rich in resources and was named the Poetic Emotion Sea Area. In the rankings of Eastern Sea, it was ranked above Shark Demon's Shark Sea. Fang Yuan explored and, in combination with his previous life's memories, made his plan center around this Song Yishe. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 894, Purposely Getting Discovered. Chapter 894, Purposely Getting Discovered. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. After plotting in secret for half a month, Fang Yuan arrived on a small island. Eastern Sea had many small islands, there were millions or even tens of millions of the islands that Fang Yuan had arrived at. Most small islands were uninhabited islands, but this small island actually had humans. There were 3 fishing villages on the island, the strongest cultivator was only rank 3. Fang Yuan hid his figure, under the blazing sun, he strolled into a nearby fishing village like it was a normal thing to do. The surrounding people were mostly ordinary mortals. There was occasionally a Gu master or 2 on the scene, they were either rank 1 or 2, and were very well respected by the mortals around them. Fang Yuan's current methods were much stronger than the time when he was in southern border. He moved through the entire village 2 or 3 times, but no one could discover him. This should be Li Clan village. Fang Yuan observed it for a while, combined with his previous life's memories, he verified that this was the place. This small fishing village was obviously not Li Clan village. But in his previous life, there was a mystical and interesting Gu immortal who emerged from this place, he was called Li Xiaoyao. This fishing village was renamed by him, to Li Clan village. Of course, right now, Li Xiaoyao was yet to be born. According to his previous life's memories, Li Xiaoyao would be born in around 200 years. After confirming the status of this fishing village, Fang Yuan left and arrived at a cliff beside the sea. There were countless nests in the cliff, there were hundreds, thousands of birds resting here, they had a strong territorial awareness. Once a Gu master, or a large life form comes and makes the birds feel threatened, they would assault the invaders together. Thus, few people in the village came to this place. Occasionally, there were Gu masters who came to harvest some medicinal herbs or steal some bird eggs. These birds were very diverse, they were a congregation of over 10 different hundred beast groups, they were not the same types of birds. On this tiny island, there were human Gu masters, but they were not at the dominant position in this environment. According to the biography of Li Xiaoyao, when Li Xiaoyao was still a child, he was often bullied by children who were older than him, he had to hide here out of necessity. Here, he found a hidden cave by accident, he treated this cave as his secret base. This cliff had all sorts of holes and caves, there was a large number of them. It was obviously very difficult to locate the cave that Li Xiaoyao found. However, since there are bird groups here, Li Xiaoyao could not have gone deep inside. His cave should be at the outer periphery. Fang Yuan was prepared amply, he searched for a while and chose 100 targets initially. By the time it was noon, and the sun started to descend towards the west, Fang Yuan found his true target. This hole was not big, but even with Xianxia's current size, he could not enter. Not to mention Fang Yuan's original 8-arm immortal zombie body. Thankfully, he had changed form immortal Gu. Fang Yuan shrunk his body and squeezed inside. The cave was moist, by the evening, there was weak lingering sunlight penetrating into it. After moving in the cave for a short while, Fang Yuan came to the deepest part of this cave. The space here was extremely wide. The sea winds outside the cliff blew into the small holes of the cave, they created a whistling sound of moving wind. Fang Yuan could not help but think of the biography of Li Xiaoyao. Inside, it wrote about Li Xiaoyao's childhood, when he was often bullied, he would hide inside this cave and sob quietly, as he listened to the whistling sound of the wind. This situation continued for a long time, until one day, fate changed for him as Li Xiaoyao's legendary tale began. This change in fate was the small hole in a corner of the cave. Once when Li Xiaoyao was hiding here, he leaned on a corner as he rested. Suddenly, the cave collapsed as he fell, directly into a deep part of the cliff, and he got swept away by the currents in the sea. This trip, Fang Yuan was trying to replicate Li Xiao Yao's fortuitous encounter in his previous life. This cliff was like an ant's den, the inside had numerous tunnels and different caves, as if there was a drill that moved in it. 6 hours later, Fang Yuan found the actual route. He broke the hole in the cave as he moved into it. When he entered the interior of the cliff, he fell rapidly. It was pure darkness and moisture. There were all sorts of small life forms like snakes. The largest animal here was a type of lizard, having the size of a normal cat. All these could not obstruct Fang Yuan. He quickly got to the bottom of the cliff, as the sound of waves got louder. At the bottom of the cliff, there was a huge spiral of seawater. This was the unique undercurrent phenomenon of Eastern Sea. The seawater in the spiral moved rapidly, there were abundant water vapor and it resembled a giant monster's mouth. Fang Yuan willed and several goo worms flew out, stopping here and leaving a marking. Next, he dived into the spiral with a loud sound. Once he was in the spiral, a formless force surrounded his body. Even with Fang Yuan's incredible strength, he felt a sense of helplessness as he was captured by the seawater. Fang Yuan did not struggle. Instead he allowed this undercurrent to carry him elsewhere. This undercurrent was like a formless dragon or python, it created a tunnel of water at the bottom of the sea. The fish groups at the bottom of the sea would swim away from it. Even seaweed and aquatic plants did not grow in their path. Because they could not grow, they could not endure the long-term dragging force of the undercurrents. Fang Yuan followed this undercurrent as he moved quickly, his current speed was incredible fast. Even ordinary movement immortal killer moves could not match his speed. This was a specialty of the sea's undercurrents. In Eastern Sea, there was a type of precious map. The map did not record the islands, nor the surface of the sea, it included the undercurrents in the sea. Gushes of undercurrents interweaved under the sea, they formed into a natural route for transportation of goods. In Eastern Sea, some super forces had underwater caravans. These caravans made use of goo worms to go deep into the sea and use the undercurrents to move rapidly. In a short time, they could travel for 10,000 li, or even 100,000 li, to engage in trade. After about 15 minutes, Fang Yuan emerged from the other end of this undercurrent. The end point was just like the starting point, it was also a huge seawater spiral. Fang Yuan jumped out of the spiral, what he saw was a sea of red. The intense hot air assaulted him. This was an underwater volcano. Fang Yuan was currently partway up this underwater volcano. In the middle of the volcano, there was no seawater entering it. At the bottom of the volcano, molten magma gushed out from the deep parts of the sea trench, causing countless lives to perish. And at the top of the volcano, there was a natural underwater hot spring. Fang Yuan's objective was the underwater hot spring at the top of the volcano. But Fang Yuan made an estimation, it was not time yet, he decided to explore the place to spend the time. The lower he went, the hotter it was. It was pure red in front of him, a type of fire lizard entered Fang Yuan's detection range. This lizard had shiny smooth scales, it extended its tongue as it ate flying bugs as food. This type of flying insect originated from the bottom of the volcano, inside the moving molten magma river. In the magma river, there were bubbles bursting at times as small insects flew out from within. The fire lizard sprawled on the side of the magma river, seeing that the flying insects had flown out, its tongue shot out at lightning speed as it captured these bugs, it retracted its tongue and swallowed its food. Fang Yuan observed such a unique habitat for a long time. Nature was really mysterious, it was displayed in front of Fang Yuan right now. Fang Yuan observed the fire lizards for a while before paying his attention to the flying insects. This type of insect was very unique, it was hatched in the magma river, it could endure extremely high temperatures. After a long time, Fang Yuan had a new discovery, the fire lizard did not succeed in getting its food every time, it would fail consecutively at times. A portion of the flying insects seemed to have developed some sort of latent talent from the pressure created by the fire lizard. These flying insects turned into goo worms during the process of being captured as food. Their speed increased and they managed to evade the lizard's tongue. This was a form of advancement. Like a carp jumping through the dragon's gate, turning from a fish into a dragon, its life had been elevated in the most fundamental sense. After these flying insects became goo worms, a portion of them took the initiative to land on the lizard and become its accompanying goo, living together with the lizard. But these were all fire path mortal goo, they did not have much value to Feng Yuan. For the current Feng Yuan, the only interesting thing was this underwater volcano. With it, he had a source to produce goo worms, he could produce large numbers of fire path and water path goo worms for a long time. Mortal goo only had value to goo immortals when they were large enough in quantity. And finally, Feng Yuan observed this magma river. This magma river had other life forms, they were a type of fish. Feng Yuan did not intend to explore further, he did not want to get into trouble by jumping into the magma river either. The magma river had a high temperature, if Feng Yuan wanted to enter it, he would need to use a defensive immortal killer move. That meant that he would need to consume precious immortal essence. Nature was mighty, many places had such dangerous environments that even goo immortals could not enter for long. Feng Yuan had been counting the time, when he felt that it was almost time, he traveled up along the volcano, past the point he was at and towards the peak. By now, he started becoming careful, concealing his traces on purpose. The young and beautiful Xianxia was one of the 6 great beauties among Eastern Sea goo immortals. Today, Xianxia was in a bad mood. She was being harassed again. All these male goo immortals who came from everywhere were like annoying flies, they were all around Xianxia, chattering non-stop, they could not even be chased away. After shrugging off these irritating pursuers, Xianxia came to her personal sea area. This sea area was called Poetic Emotion Sea, it produced a type of rank for Wisdom Path goo worm, Emotion Poetry goo. This goo worm could store emotions and was extremely precious in the minds of mortal goo masters. Xianxia came to the bottom of the sea, going into her underwater volcano palace. This underwater volcano was inside Poetic Emotion Sea, it was naturally Xianxia's property. Xianxia was at the peak of the volcano, she had built a beautiful small palace there. She loved the hot spring inside the palace, once in a while, she would go there and take a bath. She took off her clothes and revealed her peerless body. Her skin was tender and pale, like a freshly peeled egg, her limbs were slender and long, her lips were red and her eyes were sharp, and she had long hair that extended to her waist. She entered the hot spring and enjoyed herself after shutting her eyes. Soon, her mood became better, she started to hum a song. But she did not know that Feng Yuan was lurking close by, observing her every movement. It is almost time. Feng Yuan's gaze was eerie as he calculated, he purposely leaked a trace of his aura. Who is there? Xianxia's expression turned pale, she shouted as her eyes stared at Feng Yuan's hiding spot with much anger. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 895, Happy About Being Chased Down. Chapter 895, Happy About Being Chased Down. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Misunderstanding, this is a misunderstanding. Feng Yuan appeared like he was forced to. Seeing an old man like Xianxia appearing in front of her suddenly, Xianxia immediately shrieked. Right now, she was relaxing in the hot spring, completely naked, it was naturally her most vulnerable moment. If the one that appeared was a female, so be it, but it happened to be a male goo immortal. There should be prudence between sexes. Xianxia fell into panic. I can explain. All this is a big misunderstanding. Please, you must listen to my explanation. Feng Yuan waved his hand, speaking without stop. At this moment, Xianxia's panic was already surpassed by an intense anger. Perverted thief, die. Xianxia hid her body in the hot spring, and pointed a finger at Feng Yuan. Immortal killer move, Stream Veil. There was an increase of water vapor in the air, 2 streams of water that were like long sleeves of dancing women, or like thin veils worn by beauties to cover their face, coiled around Fang Yuan from both sides. Fang Yuan's heart shook. Song Yi-shi was a water path Gu immortal. This stream veil was an immortal killer move and it was an exceptional method to capture enemies. If Fang Yuan was struck by this move, it would be difficult for him to get free. Not daring to let this stream veil near him, Fang Yuan quickly retreated. Starlight shone around him and star snakes moved in the air, facing the stream veil. Immortal killer move, Star Snake Rope. Star snakes entangled the stream veil, but stream veil was like water, drowning the star snakes. In just few breaths of time, the star snakes vanished into nothingness. The stream veil moved towards Fang Yuan again. Star snake rope and stream veil are both capturing methods. I didn't think the gap between them would be so huge. Fang Yuan's heart sank. Fortunately, with this small delay, Starlight Immortal Gu in his immortal aperture was completely activated. Bright light shot out from the Immortal Gu like a rising sun. Surrounding the Starlight Immortal Gu were countless Fire Path Mortal Gu, like tens of thousands of fireflies. Star Path Immortal Killer Move, Star Fire Escape. Whoosh! Fang Yuan's whole body burned with deep blue flames, and he soared to the sky like lightning. Where are you going? Song Yi-shi yelled in a charming voice, as she used the killer move to obstruct Fang Yuan. Bam! A huge explosion erupted at top of underwater volcano. The seabed shook, torrents rose. The underwater volcano's top part was destroyed for the most part. The natural protective structure was broken, causing endless amounts of seawater to flow inside. Song Yi-shi was very busy for a while dealing with the flying rocks and the flowing seawater. She put up a defensive barrier, and quickly wore her clothes, her mind slightly calmed down. Then without caring about the destruction of the volcano by the seawater, she started flying towards the direction Fang Yuan left in. You cannot escape. Song Yi-shi shouted with clenched teeth. Fang Yuan's speed, with Star Fire Escape's help, was extremely fast, but because the water was extremely deep, it took a good while to fly out of the sea surface. In his previous life, the biography of Li Xiaoyao recorded that Li Xiaoyao fell to the bottom of the cliff and entered the undercurrent which took him to the underwater volcano. The bottom of the volcano was too hot. Li Xiaoyao tried to get away from it by moving to the peak of the volcano where he unexpectedly saw Song Yi-shi who was bathing. Song Yi-shi immediately captured him, but after interrogating him, she was instead very pleased. She had not known there was an extremely hidden undercurrent in the underwater volcano. At this moment, the sea was besieged by strong enemies. Li Xiaoyao's appearance instead gave Song Yi-shi a hope to escape. Song Yi-shi used this undercurrent to be free from the predicament. While Li Xiaoyao's life had a great turn from here on, Song Yi-shi took him under her wing and guided him on Gu master cultivation. The treatment Fang Yuan received was completely different from Li Xiaoyao's. Li Xiaoyao was a handsome young boy. Although I am an immortal and also have taken a good appearance, it is one where I am already in my 70s and 80s. Song Yi-shi is young and Song clan is also a colossal force. It would be strange if she did not get angry and chase me down. Fang Yuan sighed while secretly observing behind him. When he found Song Yi-shi was chasing him, he gave a light smile, before charging out of the sea surface. Gu Immortal Yao Gu Pai was one of Song Yi-shi's pursuers, and right now, he was lurking around the poetic emotion sea area. He looked young, was handsome and charming, and had rank 6 cultivation. He was a lone cultivator of Eastern Sea. Fairy Yi-shi will go bathe in the hot spring of the underwater volcano every once in a while. None of them know this secret, only I am aware of it at present. I will take this chance to have more contact with Fairy Yi-shi. If I can marry her, would I still have to fear not having enough cultivation resources? What is going on? Yao Gupai gazed at the source of the sound and saw Fang Yuan flying out of the sea with a miserable appearance. A giant wave rose up in the calm sea. Looking at his appearance, he seems to be a thief. Do I chase him? Yao Gupai hesitated. Right at this time, Song Yishe also flew out of the sea surface and looked at Fang Yuan's receding figure in the air, shouting in anger, "Perverted thief, don't run, die." "What, perverted thief?" Yao Gupai felt like he had been struck by a lightning, his eyes protruded out till they almost fell off. Perverted thief. What happened to Fairy Yishe? That old bastard is actually a daring lecher. Damn it, kill him. Yao Gupai roared inwardly, killing intent filling his heart. Fairy Yishe, don't worry, Yao Gupai, am here. The next moment, Yao Gupai shouted loudly, stepping forward. Song Yishe was dazed, her original provoked and aggressive air also stilled. She had just attacked with anger and had not thought much when she shouted furiously, but with Yao Gupai's appearance, she could not help but feel panic. Oh heavens, have mercy. She was still a young lady, and this was the first time she had experienced a situation like this. Regarding this matter, she naturally wanted to cover it tightly. It was best if she resolved everything herself, killed Fang Yuan and no one else would know of this matter. If this matter were to be spread, how would she face others in future? However, another Gu immortal appeared now. She recognized this person, he was one of those hateful pursuers, his surname seemed to be Yao. Song Yishe was not too sure. Yao Gupai was even more distressed and anguished the moment he saw Song Yishe's panicked expression. He then observed Song Yishe's flushed face, red like she had just gone through intercourse, the killing intent inside him increased by dozens of times in an instant. Actually, nothing had happened, but the imagination of humans was endless. Moreover, Yao Gupai was a man and a crazed pursuer, he easily interpreted the expression in an entirely dark manner. Right now, Yao Gupai was thinking, this old pervert that is escaping with all his strength has definitely taken huge advantage of her. He might have used some dirty tricks to drug Fairy Yishe. He must have approached her, no, he likely kissed her and touched her. Who knows how much Fairy Yishe was encroached upon, how much humiliation she suffered. With such thoughts, the fury in Yao Gupai's heart burned so high that it seemed to ignite his whole body. He chased furiously while screaming, "You damned old bastard, old lecher, don't run. You dare to desecrate our Fairy Yishe, I am going to skin you alive. I will make you regret everything you did to Fairy Yishe." When Song Yishe heard this furious scream, her whole body shook and she almost fell down from the air. Don't scream so loudly, are you trying to let the whole world know? Isn't it best if we quietly, quickly and secretly kill this damned geezer? Unfortunately, the furious Yao Gupai could not hear Song Yishe's thoughts. And this was the first time Song Yishe had encountered such a situation, so she lost her composure. She wanted to transmit her voice to say this to Yao Gupai, but she was too young and could not speak up no matter what. How embarrassing was it if she said it outright? Among these three, the happiest was instead Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had already calculated Song Yishe's reaction. Yao Gupai's appearance, however, was an unexpected surprise. Good, that's good, scream loudly, yes, a bit louder. Fang Yuan inwardly cheered Yao Gupai. The two Gu immortals chasing absolutely would not be imagining the strange thoughts in Fang Yuan's mind at this moment. Fang Yuan wanted to blow the situation up into a huge matter. Song Yishe was a Gu immortal of a super force, Song clan, she was the apple of Song Chi Yuan's eye, with many pursuers. After this matter blows up, Fang Yuan would have an external pressure to join Zombie Alliance. However, this conflict was not from swindling money, murdering someone's parents, or a life and death battle. At most, Fang Yuan had only taken a glance unintentionally. Song Yishe was a young girl with very few experiences, her thoughts were still conservative. Naturally, she would feel wronged and furious at having someone see her body for the first time. This was the natural mentality of young people. As they got older and more experienced, no matter who they were, they would gain at least some knowledge on sexual life. So what if he took a glance? Didn't some women wish others would just keep on looking at them? From a certain perspective, did this not prove one's charm? 200 to 300 years later, Li Xiaoyao also peeked at but nothing happened to him, instead he was protected and hidden. One big reason was that Song Yishi's mentality had already changed. Later, Li Xiaoyao would have another fortuitous encounter and become a sword path Gu immortal, and finally, he and Song Yishi would become an immortal couple. Wasn't Song Yishi older than Li Xiaoyao by 200 to 300 years? She could be said to be a cradle robber. Of course, there is another reason. 200 to 300 years later, Song Qiyuan's lifespan had been used up and he died. The rank 8 Gu immortals' fall created an enormous change in Eastern Sea's structure. Song clan began to weaken and the enormous wealth Song Yishi had was coveted by others. Not only was there pressure from external sources, there was internal strife in the clan as well. Li Xiaoyao, who was taught by Song Yishi and accompanied her throughout his mortal Gu master stage and shared her sufferings, became the most reassuring individual to Song Yishi. Later, Li Xiaoyao inherited Sword Immortal Drunken Green Bull's inheritance, and developed methods bringing in new advancements, and became a powerful Sword Path Gu immortal. This caused Song Yishi to fall for him. The two became an immortal couple, moving around without a set destination, secretively and freely. In the 5 regions' chaotic war, they appeared and worked together to resist rank 8 Gu immortals, becoming a great pillar in blocking Central Continent's offensive. Fang Yuan fled while thinking leisurely about all sorts of things. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 896, Freely Leaving After Killing. Chapter 896, Freely Leaving After Killing. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. In the sky, a battle of pursuit was unfolding. Bam bam bam. Intense explosions occurred one after another. Song Yishi and Yao Gupai attacked non-stop, but because of the distance, and because Fang Yuan was slippery like an eel, he could not be caught. He was displaying an incredible flying attainment. Even though he was ahead, Fang Yuan, who was pretending to be escaping, was actually slowing his speed, allowing the two pursuers to follow him. He was a demonic path overlord. In his previous life, even though he did not have particularly great achievements, he had rich life experience. He had undergone many battles. It was something that these two young Gu immortals behind him could not imagine. Especially Song Yishi, she was too young and had little battle experience. Even though she was using an immortal killer move to chase him, she could not catch up no matter what. Fang Yuan changed directions often. Sometimes he went into the water, sometimes he went into the clouds. He was extremely crafty. Song Yishi was extremely angry. She felt like she was not chasing him down, but being played with instead. As for Yao Gupai, he was a lone cultivator. Even though he had more experience, he did not have a single immortal Gu, not to mention any immortal killer moves. He, who could only use mortal killer moves, was doomed in this battle of pursuit from the start. He was lagging behind. He could only shout loudly. If Fang Yuan was not purposely slowing down for him, he would have been left in the dust already. The three traveled quickly through the air. They soon left the Poetic Emotion Sea area. What is going on? There are Gu immortals fighting. The noise from their travels earned the attentions of two lone cultivator Gu immortals from a nearby island. These two were playing chess. They were quite relaxed. Hearing the commotion, they raised their heads as they used investigative methods. It seems to be Song clan's Fairy Yishi, and a young male lone cultivator. They are pursuing someone. This person's aura is not that of Eastern Sea. They are a Northern Plains Gu immortal. Less trouble is better than more trouble. Song Yishi is the prized gem of Song Qiyuan. Let's not interfere in this. You are right. Come, let's continue playing chess. Fang Yuan looked at this island. He frowned slightly as he turned to another direction, continuing to fly. Not long later, at Webai Sea area. What? There is such a lecherous and shameless old bastard in this world. Fairy Yishi, Chen Zhongyong, will lend you a hand. Fang Yuan smiled lightly. He dodged Chen Zhongyong's attack as he continued escaping. Thus, there were 3 people chasing after him now. After a certain amount of time, at Rumbling Thunder Sea Channel. Fairy Yishi is pure as jade. She was actually tainted. He deserves death. He deserves death. Bai Qing Tian was anguished, he joined in the chase resolutely. 15 minutes later, the commotion caused by them attracted a battle-maniac Gu immortal. You are a Northern Plains Gu immortal, you dare to lay your lecherous hands on our Eastern Sea goddess. Do you think that we of Eastern Sea can be bullied? Lei Hong was furious, he spoke without restraint. Song Yishe was getting more and more furious, seeing that Fang Yuan was still escaping, her mood was getting worse. He had only taken a glance at her. Why were these people spouting more and more ridiculous nonsense, like she had lost her virginity to him? Stop shouting. Kill him in secret, I will reward you greatly. Song Yishe could not hold it in anymore, she transmitted to them. These Gu immortals were not idiots. After hearing this, they went silent. Why are they not shouting anymore? Fang Yuan did not want that to happen, he wanted this matter to blow up, the bigger the commotion the better. Since you are shutting up, I will have to do it myself. Thus, Fang Yuan shouted, defending himself, everyone, this is a misunderstanding, I will clarify this matter. I had accidentally entered the depths of Poetic Emotion Sea Area's underwater volcano, everyone can investigate this matter, I am speaking the truth. Old lecher, you are bullshitting. Immediately, a Gu immortal screamed back. But Fang Yuan ignored him, he yelled, I am a Northern Plains Gu immortal, I have just arrived here and wanted to choose an unknown island to reside in. I picked a small island after looking for a long time. Before setting up some arrangements, I wanted to look around the area, I discovered a hidden undercurrent and moved along it, getting into the underwater volcano. Lies, you're continuing to lie to us. You did something so shameless, but you are actually defending yourself, trying to pretend to be a gentleman. Do you think we are so easy to fool? The Gu immortals screamed. Fang Yuan called out, even if I am lying, I would need to make a better excuse, why would I mention the undercurrent? You can go verify this, I will tell you the location of the island. Before I entered the undercurrent, I did not know it would connect to the underwater volcano either, after I entered the volcano, I found out. Shut up. Song Yishe shouted, she was worried that Fang Yuan might expose some secretive information, she interrupted him, if you are innocent, stop running, obediently submit and let us investigate. If you are speaking the truth, I, Song Yishe, will not kill an innocent person. Song Yishe had learned something quickly and grew a little, she actually understood that she needed to coax him. But her tone was too stiff, anyone could tell that she was full of anger and killing intent. Song Yishe was still too pitiful in her acting skills. Fang Yuan continued to escape, he shouted continuously, do you think I am a fool? If I surrender, I will die. I am innocent, I did not even touch a single hair of yours, after I reached the volcano. Shut the hell up. Song Yishe flew into a rage, her voice was even louder now. The other male Gu immortals had furious expressions on the surface, but they were secretly concentrating and were afraid of missing a single word from Fang Yuan's mouth. Seeing that Fang Yuan was interrupted by Song Yishe again, they felt mild regret internally. But Fang Yuan quickly continued, the more you do not want me to say it, the more I will say. How can you be so overbearing? I am just a Northern Plains Gu immortal trying to make a living in Eastern Sea, is it easy for me? I did not do anything, I only saw a glimpse of you bathing, it was all a misunderstanding. Song Yishe saw darkness in front of her, she was so angered her heart was going to burst into flames. She could make the people on her side shut up, but she could not stop Fang Yuan from shouting. He, something so interesting has happened. At this time, a lovely laugh could be heard, a female Gu immortal was approaching. It is Seven Seas Snake Woman. The Gu immortals that were chasing after Fang Yuan saw this female Gu immortal and became alert. Yao Gu Pai was bemoaning internally, everyone else directed their gazes toward Song Yishe. Song Yishe's expression was dark, she looked like an ice statue that was emitting immense cold air. As it turned out, Seven Seas Snake Woman and Song Yishe were both publicly known as among the 6 great beauties among Eastern Sea Gu immortals. Seven Seas Snake Woman had rank 7 cultivation level, she was a demonic path Gu immortal who had some conflicts with Song Yishe, but because of Song Qiyuan's power, she did not dare to attack Song Yishe. At this moment, she heard such interesting news, she was sure to add in more false details and spread this rumor around. Xianxia felt like the sky was collapsing. What was she going to do now? Seven Seas Snake Woman was definitely going to ruin her reputation. Xianxia felt even more hatred towards Fang Yuan now. You old lecher, how are you so good at running, even running into Seven Seas Snake Woman? What a joke. This route was specially chosen by Fang Yuan after careful investigation. The Gu immortals that they would meet along the way were all found out by Fang Yuan prior to this. Seven Seas Snake Woman was very important in Fang Yuan's current plan. Even though Seven Seas Snake Woman was a demonic path Gu immortal, she owned 7 sea areas. Right now, this sea area was at a crucial moment when a large number of red-tide fish were reproducing. She had to stay here to guard it. Fang Yuan easily obtained this information. Seven Seas Snake Woman was a beautiful but dangerous woman. She was very ruthless in her actions. The righteous path would often leak details of such people, so that others could be prepared if they were to meet them. Boom! With a loud sound, Seven Seas Snake Woman suddenly struck, attacking the pursuers of Fang Yuan. Seven Seas Snake Woman, what are you doing? Lei Hong shouted. Xianxia and the others were severely interrupted. He, this is such an interesting matter, I definitely have to interfere. Seven Seas Snake Woman had an alluring body, she had a coquettish gaze as she answered. Lei Hong said solemnly, I will block Seven Seas Snake Woman, the rest of you continue chasing him. He had rank 7 cultivation level, he was not afraid of Seven Seas Snake Woman, even though his battle strength was lower, he could still stall her for a short time and escape from her. Seven Seas Snake Woman did not know who Fang Yuan was, she would not exert too much effort. Seeing that Lei Hong was stepping up, she showed a look of disgust as she stopped on the spot. You again, meddlesome fool, you really like to interfere in people's affairs. Thus, the other Gu immortals detoured around Seven Seas Snake Woman, chasing after Fang Yuan again. Time continued to pass. After a very long time, there were a few more people chasing Fang Yuan. Even though he was quite injured, he did not fall into their hands, he was still escaping. Damn it! Xianxia gritted her teeth, she felt fatigue looking at Fang Yuan's energetic body. Everything had happened too quickly, and too suddenly. How did it become like this? Xianxia felt a sense of absurdity within her. A moment ago, she was still enjoying a carefree life, bathing inside her hot spring as she relaxed herself. But now, she was chasing an enemy endlessly with no way of catching up. And now, almost all the immortals nearby knew about it. Xianxia felt tired physically, but even more so mentally. It is about time. Fang Yuan looked at the pursuers, he smiled faintly. The execution of this plan was much more effective than he had originally planned. Now, it is time to leave. Thinking of this, a ruthless light flashed in Fang Yuan's eyes. His body shook as he turned into 6 figures, flying towards 6 different directions. Immortal Killer Move, 6 illusion star bodies. The pursuers shouted out in dismay, they were stunned before splitting up to chase him. Immortal Killer Move, Position Star Swap. Fang Yuan changed his position, appearing in front of Yao Gupai. Don't think I am afraid of killing. Fang Yuan called out, using Star Cloud Grindstone. He had been escaping all this time, why would Yao Gupai think that Fang Yuan would act differently and counterattack? Caught off guard, he was sucked into the Star Cloud Grindstone. He only had mortal killer moves, how could he defend against the power of Immortal Gu? When everyone else came to reinforce him and destroyed the Star Cloud Grindstone, Fang Yuan was already holding onto Yao Gupai's head. Humph, don't go overboard. Fang Yuan's ruthlessness was shown, he faced the band of immortals. The pursuers were only rank 6. It was not easy to encounter rank 7s like Lei Hong. Yao Gupai, when all is said and done, is a Gu immortal, he was actually killed in such a short amount of time. Northern Plains barbarians are really exemplary in battle strength. The immortals were all stunned, they felt a strong sense of wariness internally. Meanwhile, one of the 6 illusion star bodies had already flown far away. Fang Yuan used position star swap and changed his true body's position, abruptly and freely leaving. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know in report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 897, Difficult to Own Gupai Blessed Land. Chapter 897, Difficult to Own Gupai Blessed Land. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. 3 days later, in the world of Eastern Sea Gu immortals, there was a rumor that spread widely. This involved one of the 6 great beauties of Eastern Sea, Fairy Yishur. When she was bathing, she was defiled by an old lecher who shamelessly planned everything. Song Yishur was Song Chi Yuan's precious gem. She had quite a reputation and many suitors. This matter involved Song clan's reputation as well. Once information got out, many Gu immortals' attentions were attracted. Soon, Xianxia's Northern Plains Gu immortal identity was found out by other Gu immortals. Before Song clan even expressed their attitude, Song Yishur's suitors were already hunting down Fang Yuan on a large scale with furious emotions. At a nameless and ownerless sea area with little resources, the sea was deep and dark, there were few fish. A wooden door that looked like a blessed land's entrance appeared, and opened with a creak. A figure walked out from within. It was Fang Yuan, having Xianxia's appearance. Fang Yuan killed Yao Gupai on the spot. After that, he carried Yao Gupai's corpse away and escaped. There were 2 uses for bodies of Gu immortals. One was to place them down and form a blessed land, the other was to put them into one's own immortal aperture and obtain their Dao marks. Fang Yuan did not have to think it over, he chose the former. His immortal aperture was dead. If corpses were put inside his dead aperture, not only would he not get any Dao marks, it would cause massive destruction to the land, his body would burst and explode. Such a situation had been experimented with by immortal zombies, but there had never been any cases of success. Fang Yuan used his wisdom path methods to contain the immortal aperture and stalled for some time. After escaping from the pursuers, he used a stargate to return to Tai Bai Yunsheng's immortal aperture, before using fixed immortal travel to teleport himself towards the northeastern extremity of Eastern Sea. Finally, he dived into the sea. Without anyone's notice, he placed Yao Gupai's immortal aperture down at the bottom of the sea. After the immortal aperture formed into a blessed land, it naturally created disturbances in heaven Qi and earth Qi. 2 whale desolate beasts were drawn over, but Fang Yuan chased them away. Fang Yuan first turned into another appearance, before entering Yao Gupai's blessed land and meeting with the land spirit. Yao Gupai was a woodpath Gu immortal. He owned Gupai blessed land. His land spirit was quite peculiar. It was in the form of a tree, planted at the center of the blessed land with no movement ability. The tree land spirit told Fang Yuan the ownership condition: 100,000 immortal essence stones, large amounts of immortal materials, including many rank 7 and rank 8 materials. It even wanted the fresh blood of Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. The condition was too immensely difficult. Fang Yuan, of course, could not satisfy it. He could only leave regrettably. Yao Gupai is a lone cultivator. He had the weakest background among the pursuers, and had no backers. That was why I killed him, to act as deterrence against the others. Indeed, I deterred Song Yishur's group and escaped easily. Yao Gupai's immortal aperture formed into a separate blessed land, but the land spirit's ownership condition has nothing to do with me, the killer. Instead, it is requesting for lots of cultivation resources. It shows that Yao Gupai's greatest obsession is towards wealth. But his desire is simply too insatiable. Fang Yuan had just left, the blessed land's doors closed. He looked back and saw that the door was completely shut. He frowned slightly. If Yao Gupai's obsession had to do with me, with my blood path methods, I could easily handle it. But its ownership condition is simply harder than ascending to heaven. Not mentioning the 100,000 immortal essence stones, simply the precious immortal materials were hard to gather. Unless Fang Yuan robbed the 10 great ancient sects, or stole that huge amount from Heavenly Court's treasury, simply based on his current state, it would take a lot of good luck for him to gather them all. 200 to 300 years would be the minimum amount of time he needed. But most importantly, it was the final condition that the tree land spirit had: Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable's fresh blood. Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable was a woodpath rank 9 Gu Venerable. Yao Gupai also cultivated woodpath, it was not strange that he desired Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable's blood. But who was Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable? Even if his fresh blood was preserved by Heavenly Lotus sect, that was a true rank 9 immortal material. This was a precious material that could refine rank 9 immortal Gu. It was definitely heavily guarded. How could Fang Yuan obtain it? This Yao Gu Pai must have gone crazy from poverty, his obsession towards wealth is so intense. In this way, to obtain this blessed land, it seems normal methods will not work, I can only attack forcefully. Fang Yuan's eyes shined with cold light. If this land spirit refused to accept a master, he would destroy it and forcefully take over the blessed land. Not all blessed lands had land spirits. Some Gu immortals were killed extremely thoroughly and did not leave behind any obsession. After they died, their blessed land would be without a land spirit. Yao Gu Pai's blessed land had a land spirit, but the conditions were too absurd. Fang Yuan could only find an alternative and attack forcefully. It was like Shark Demon's group invading Yu Lu blessed land. If I can obtain this blessed land, I would have a base in Eastern Sea. But now is not the time to settle this blessed land, I should go and regroup with Shark Demon first. Fang Yuan scattered some mortal Gu, setting up a Gu formation around him. Next, he activated fixed immortal travel, leaving this place and going to Tai Bai Yun Sheng's immortal aperture. Originally, fixed immortal travel's aura was in the sea, but after Fang Yuan's Gu formation activated, it dissipated. After the work was done, this set of mortal Gu disintegrated on its own. Unless a very powerful investigation method was used, no one would be able to find out that there was a blessed land in such an ordinary area. Fang Yuan came out of Tai Bai Yun Sheng's immortal aperture, the latter had already started moving, he was flying above the vast sea. The senior and junior brothers conversed along the way. After a few minutes, they arrived at the sky above Yu Lu blessed land. Here, there was nobody. The two waited for a while. Soon, Shark Demon led a band of Gu immortals from Zombie Alliance and flew over. Brother Xianxia, you are quite famous nowadays. Once he saw Fang Yuan, Shark Demon made a joke. The other Gu immortals looked at Fang Yuan with curious glances. These few days, Fang Yuan had become very famous in the world of Eastern Sea Gu immortals, he had gained quite a reputation. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly, he replied, very unlucky, I was very unlucky, please don't laugh at me. I wanted to find an island to rest in, but I found an undercurrent and wanted to explore it, to think I would encounter such a troublesome affair. This is not a troublesome affair, it is quite appropriate to call this a romantic affair. Bo Dan laughed loudly, sarcastically saying. Earlier, Fang Yuan had humiliated him. But after that, Bo Dan paid a huge price and gave Su Bai Man an expensive gift, thus he joined the invasion of the blessed land again, and he had a fearless attitude. Fang Yuan gave him a glance, smiling, he did not bother responding to such a person. He glanced around and saw that other than Shark Demon, Su Bai Man, and Bo Dan, there was only one familiar immortal zombie, Sha Nan Jiang, there were 3 less people than before. But Shark Demon was very confident, it seemed that he had made ample preparations before coming. Everyone went deep into the sea, opening the entrance of Yu Lu blessed land, entering the battlefield killer move freezing rain frozen earth again. This time, Xianxia, we will mainly be relying on your deductions, Bo Dan will support you. Shark Demon announced politely. Last time, Fang Yuan performed well, Shark Demon and the others thought that Xianxia had a deeper wisdom path attainment level. Lord Shark Demon, please rest assured, I will do my best. Fang Yuan expressed his firm attitude. Bo Dan snorted internally, even though he was displeased, he knew his own abilities, he crossed his arms and watched with a dark gaze. Facing freezing rain frozen earth again, Fang Yuan's expression became serious as he deduced. The battlefield killer move, freezing rain frozen earth, had completely recovered, the damage caused by Fang Yuan and the others had been fixed already. Fang Yuan was not surprised. Earlier, when Shark Demon and the others attacked the blessed land, the battlefield killer move could also repair itself. It was unknown whether this was due to Yu Lu blessed land's land spirit, or the arrangements of Fairy Yu Lu. Speaking of which, Shark Demon and the others had attacked the blessed land for such a long time, but they had not found the land spirit of Yulu blessed land yet. Whether the land spirit existed, this was still a mystery. With his prior experience, Fang Yuan's progress was fast. He naturally did not destroy the crucial mortal Gu, thus the battlefield did not become stronger compared to the last time. The ice needle storm rained down, as Shark Demon stepped forward and used his immortal Gu. The immortal Gu's name was Melt Ice. It was an ice path immortal Gu and could melt even the firmest ice. This Gu was borrowed by Shark Demon specially to deal with freezing rain frozen earth. He paid a huge amount to a certain member of Zombie Alliance. With this Melt Ice immortal Gu, they greatly resisted the freezing rain frozen earth's power. Even the desolate beast level snow monsters were obstructed. Shark Demon and the others felt less pressure. They even expended far less immortal essence than last time. There was a counter to everything. The strong freezing rain frozen earth was greatly weakened after encountering the Melt Ice immortal Gu. The Gu Master world was like this. Everything was in balance, strong and weak was relative. There were no invincible Gu worms, there were only invincible Gu Masters. With Melt Ice immortal Gu, Shark Demon could move freely as well. Fang Yuan also progressed stably. Even though he was a Wisdom Path newbie, he had precious experience from last time. After returning, he had revised his methods and improved a lot. He designed many new methods. This time, Fang Yuan came prepared. He had to say, Dong Fang Chong Fan's Wisdom Path inheritance was simply brilliant. Using it, Fang Yuan could forcefully find a solution. The start was the hardest. After Fang Yuan found the first flaw, his progress became faster. He deduced more and more hidden Gu worms. But during this process, Fang Yuan could feel his lack of experience. But he was an experienced schemer. He immediately ordered Bo Dan to help. Even though Bo Dan's Wisdom Path methods were shallow and few, after Fang Yuan started the deduction, he could also see a portion of the details inside the battlefield killer move. He also had very familiar methods and precise techniques. Fang Yuan pretended to deduce, but he was secretly observing Bo Dan's techniques. He learned a lot of things and his Wisdom Path attainment was rising. Eventually, with both of their efforts, freezing rain frozen earth was finally unraveled. By now, the freezing rain battlefield has unleashed a total of 33 attacks. Shark Demon's Melt Ice immortal Gu was single-handedly holding them back. The huge immortal essence expenditure reduced his joy of passing the difficult round to a great extent. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 898, Fighting Soul Battlefield. Chapter 898, Fighting Soul Battlefield. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Freezing rain frozen earth disappeared, the world changed. The original icy world turned into a dark environment. It was like evening, there were dark clouds looming and the poor weather seemed to be indicating a thunderstorm. Evidently, this was another battlefield killer move. Welcome to Fighting Soul Battlefield. A faint female voice resounded in the battlefield. Everyone who was inside the battlefield heard the voice. Shark Demon's expression changed. He said, "Oh no, this is the infamous Fighting Soul Battlefield. This is troublesome." Even before he finished his sentence, a sandstorm started blowing as sand and dust were scattered in the sky. Soul beasts appeared one after another, from all directions, encircling the Gu immortals. Su Bai Man quickly reminded, Xianxia, Bo Dan, you have to act quickly. The number of soul beasts here are endless, the longer we take, the stronger they become. This Fighting Soul Battlefield was a battlefield killer move created by Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable after he used one of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's inheritances as a reference. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's other creations had some mercy in them, they would always leave behind a way to survive. But this battlefield killer move is very different. It contains Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's killing nature. It is the most deadly battlefield killer move among Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's creations. Fang Yuan and Bo Dan did not dare to take their time. They used their respective methods and tried to unravel the killer move. Fang Yuan soon discovered, this fighting soul battlefield was very different from freezing rain frozen earth. The latter had no flaws at all when activated, it was very well balanced, giving others a feeling of not knowing where to start. But this fighting soul battlefield exposed several hiding spots of mortal Gu to Fang Yuan from the start easily. As time passed, Fang Yuan found more and more hidden spots, they were growing into a huge number, there were thousands or even tens of thousands of them. The number of Gu worms that formed this battlefield killer move was much higher than Fang Yuan's expectations. Fang Yuan soon found out, there were no traps like the ones that were in the freezing rain frozen earth battlefield killer move. No matter which hidden spot they destroyed, there was no backlash, and Fang Yuan did not need to restart his deductions. Thus, very soon, Fang Yuan and Bo Dan started to dismantle these hidden spots rapidly. However, this fighting soul battlefield's offensive power was several times greater than freezing rain frozen earth. Freezing rain frozen earth attacked in waves, there was a moment of peace in between each wave of attacks, the Gu immortals could rest for a while each time. But this fighting soul battlefield did not stop for a moment after activation, the number of soul beasts continued to increase, soon, desolate beast-level soul beasts were formed. A while later, there were more than 10 desolate soul beasts, even ancient desolate soul beasts started appearing. They did not even last for 7 minutes before Shark Demon and the others had to use the incomplete profound ice house to escape from the place. There are simply too many Gu worms used to create the battlefield killer move, I am ashamed, my methods are too simple, I could only dismantle them one by one. Once they got out of the sea, Bo Dan spoke to Shark Demon without concealing any information, he spoke the truth. Fang Yuan frowned too, my methods could only dismantle at most 5 to 6 hidden spots each time. I suspect that this fighting soul battlefield's difficulty lies here. The faster we can dismantle it, or the longer we can last under the attacks of the soul beasts, the more likely it is that we can unravel this killer move. To unravel it in itself is not the problematic part. In that case, Xianxia, according to your deduction, how long do both of you need to dismantle this killer move at your current speed? Shark Demon asked. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly and shook his head, I am not sure. I did not manage to see the entire battlefield killer move. There are too many hidden spots, they are numerous like the stars in the sky. And even if I manage to find the tens of thousands of hidden spots, to get rid of them, I will need at least 30 minutes. Xianxia was lost for words, 30 minutes. We lasted for 7 minutes and there were already ancient desolate soul beasts appearing. 30 minutes, surely, immemorial desolate soul beasts will appear, and there might be more than one. Everyone became quiet. Su Bai Man spoke heavily, in that case, we can only ask more people to help out next time. These Gu immortals will need to have enough wisdom path attainment to dismantle the hidden spots. Saying so, Su Bai Man and Shark Demon looked at each other, they could see the bitterness in each other's eyes. There were not many Gu immortals with wisdom path attainment. Asking them to help would incur a huge cost. Shark Demon thought for a while, he spoke, then we will retreat for now. The next time we are attacking is in 30 days, we will decide on the time at a later date, I will inform you all. Xianxia, this is my command token, you can use it to stay in Zombie Alliance's headquarters and avoid the trouble you are facing for now. Fang Yuan smiled lightly, thank you for your goodwill, Lord Shark Demon, but I am not willing to waste any time. Merely Song Yisher cannot do anything to me. Even though Song clan is a huge force, they cannot control the entirety of Eastern Sea. If I hide and shrink away because of this, I, Xianxia, would have cultivated for nothing. Everyone, until next time we meet. Seeing Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunxing fly far away, Bo Dan stepped forward and stood beside Shark Demon, he slandered, this Xianxia really does not know what is good for him, he actually refused to accept Lord's goodwill. Shark Demon glanced at him, he snorted, saying unhappily, if you were any more capable, why would I need to treat him like this? Bo Dan had a bitter expression, oh Lord, it was not that I did not put in effort, but my inheritance is too incomplete, there is a limit to what I can do. Shark Demon waved his hand impatiently. Bo Dan quickly shut up and lowered his head, leaving. Su Bai Man got close to Shark Demon, she smiled, if husband is afraid that Xianxia would get into trouble and delay the next invasion, you do not need to worry. Northern Plains Gu immortals often have higher battle strength than the other 4 regions. Xianxia also has immortal Gu with him. His battle strength was high enough to kill Yao Gupai on the spot. Nothing would happen to him. Even though he offended Song Yishur, the precious gem of Song Qi Yuan, it is precisely because Song Clan is a righteous path superforce, a large organization with many matters to take care of, that they would not create a huge commotion over such a small matter. But Song Clan's reputation was affected, they would definitely want an answer. In a while, Xianxia would feel increasing pressure. By then, wouldn't he come to ask us for help? That is indeed the case, your analysis is very accurate. Shark Demon's expression became calmer, he gently held Su Bai Man's hand. Northern Plains, Luopa Valley. The battle surrounding Luopa Valley had already been ongoing for over half a month. Qin Baisheng's side had the territorial advantage, Feng Jiuji's side was unable to take them down. But Feng Jiugu and the others were very determined, they besieged the area without retreating. Qin Baisheng's side could only hide inside Luopa Valley for the time being. Jiangyu, how are your injuries? Qin Baisheng went to visit Fairy Jiangyu. In half a day, I will fully recover. Fairy Jiangyu sat on the bed, shutting her eyes as she healed herself, she replied while multitasking. Joy flashed across Qin Baisheng's face, that is good. After you recover, we will protect you as you charge out of the encirclement, and go to Northern Plains Zombie Alliance to activate our hidden arrangement. What? We are going to use our arrangement in Northern Plains Zombie Alliance. Will it not have a huge impact on the entire crucial plan? Fairy Jiangyu was shocked, she asked this. Qin Baisheng said heavily, it won't. I have already communicated with Old Man Yen Shi, in Shadow Sect's southern border headquarters. Sigh. Feng Jiugu is really quite the character, his self-created heaven and earth song could match my 5-finger fist heart sword. My personal reputation is nothing important, but the immortal Gu that is still being nurtured inside Luopa Valley is important to our crucial plan, it cannot be lost. But now that Luopa Valley is being encircled by these people from Central Continent, we are at a disadvantage in terms of numbers, we can only rely on the ancient soul beasts to defend ourselves. We will eventually fall if this keeps up, we need to regain the initiative. These last days, he had fought with Feng Jiugu for over dozens of rounds, after exchanging blows countless times, even if they put in all their efforts, they had been unable to determine a winner. Qin Baisheng was concerned about the big picture, he wanted to find a way to get out of this predicament. But at this time, Feng Jiuji's voice came from outside. Qin Baisheng heard it and sneered internally, after remaining silent for 3 days, he's finally returned to taunt us again. Qin Baisheng flew into the air, facing Feng Jiugu, Brother Feng, we have undergone innumerable rounds of battles, we know each other's abilities quite well now. You are an astute person, can't you see that in this current situation, as long as I defend this Luopa Valley, you cannot break in by force. Feng Jiugu smiled brightly, an intense light of confidence shined in his eyes, Brother Qin, this time is different. After our countless rounds of battles, I had gained much inspiration. These last 3 days, I have been in closed cultivation, I used the inspiration to complete an incomplete move that I had created in the past. Oh. Qin Baisheng's expression turned serious. Feng Jiugu raised his head slightly, he said loudly, this time, I would like to ask Brother Qin to critique my submission song. Green Jade Song. Heaven and Earth Song. Submission Song. When Feng Jiugu sang Green Jade Song, his voice was crisp and sharp, like beads of flawless jade. When he sang Heaven and Earth Song, his voice was grand and magnificent, it made others feel their own insignificance. But now, Feng Jiugu sang Submission Song, his mouth was closed. The entire place was silent. Qin Baisheng's expression was both serious and grim, because he heard Feng Jiuji's singing voice. His singing voice was directly resounding in Qin Baisheng's mind. It turns out that this submission song was not heard with one's ears, but in one's mind. Qin Baisheng's heart sank, this sound path killer move encompasses wisdom path, enslavement path, sound path, and soul path, these 4 paths, it affects a person's mind. From the moment he closed his mouth, there is already a trace of 5-finger fist heart sword in it. This Feng Jiugu actually obtained this inspiration from me. But it is only at this level, it is not enough to affect my fighting spirit. Oh no. Qin Baisheng's reaction was fast, but Submission Song's effect was even faster. In Luopa Valley, there were many ancient soul beasts that were guarding the place. Under the influence of Feng Jiuji's song, they submitted to him. They betrayed Qin Baisheng on the spot, becoming the lackeys of the central continent Gu immortals. Submission Song could temporarily cause desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts to change sides, becoming subordinates of the singer. Damn it! He Lang Zi cursed. They had few people, they needed the ancient soul beasts to bolster their defenses. But now, most of the ancient soul beasts changed sides, they started attacking Luopa Valley instead. Shadow Sect's side was falling into great danger. But Qin Baisheng was not easy to deal with. He quickly thought of this and displayed a battlefield killer move. Feng Jiugu and the others, including the ancient soul beasts, were dragged into this battlefield. There was thick fog in this battlefield, countless souls were flying around. Dark blue soul beasts gathered and took form. Most of them were ordinary soul beasts, but soon, desolate soul beasts appeared, and seemingly before long, ancient soul beasts would appear as well. The soul beasts that were created in this battlefield fought against the ancient soul beasts that were under Feng Jiuji's control. Good countermeasure. Feng Jiugu stopped singing, he praised, using this battlefield killer move to increase your control of the soul beasts and eliminate the advantage of Submission Song. But your Soul Taker battlefield is too outdated. Even though it was created by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, he made it when he was young. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable had once used this killer move to create the even more superior Fighting Soul battlefield. This Soul Taker battlefield can only convert the souls of living beings into soul beasts, but Fighting Soul battlefield can actually produce endless soul beasts. Feng Jiugu was inside the battlefield killer move, but he was not worried. He spoke casually as he critiqued the killer move. Qin Baisheng, however, spoke with a smile. Future generations enjoy the benefits from the hard work of predecessors. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable could create the superior Fighting Soul battlefield because he used the foundation created by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. It is only to be expected. But he was too kind of a person. He weakened Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's killing intent. Even though it seemed superior, it lost all hope of going a step further. Saying this, the battlefield changed again. Feng Jiuji's expression changed. So this is not Soul Taker battlefield, it is a battlefield killer move that Spectral Soul Demon Venerable created in his later years, 100 million slaughter field. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 899, Twin Polar Sea Strait, Song Jia Dan. Chapter 899, Twin Polar Sea Strait, Song Jia Dan. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Eastern Sea, Song Clan's headquarters, Heavy Water Blessed Land. Grandpa, you have to avenge me. Song Yishe charged into the study room, stomping her feet and throwing a tantrum to the rank 8 Gu immortal Song Qi Yuan. Song Qi Yuan and some rank 7 Gu immortal elders were discussing matters of the clan. But Song Yishe barged in directly like this. Song Qi Yuan turned around slowly. He showed no anger on his face as he smiled kindly. My sweet granddaughter, how do you want Grandpa to avenge you? Song Yishe did not find it strange that her grandfather knew about this. In fact, if Song Qi Yuan did not know about it, that would be the strange thing. Before this young female Gu immortal came, she had already thought of an answer. She gritted her teeth. Grandpa, strike directly and capture him alive. I will deal with him after that. At the same time, she thought inwardly, I will dig out this old lecher's eyes out first, then I will pull out his tendons and his skin, I will carve out his bones and make his flesh rot. He will be in so much pain, I will make him regret everything that he has done. Song Qi Yuan nodded. He did not hesitation, he agreed, that is a good method, but... He dragged his words out. Song Qi Yuan changed the course of the conversation as he showed a difficult expression. Grandpa has something important to do now, I cannot leave. Why don't I get your uncle, Song Xia Qi, to help you? Song Yishe's eyes shined. she forget her own situation. She thought of something as she asked excitedly, "Grandpa, is it regarding ascending heaven plane?" Song Chi Yuan did not hide it from her, he admitted, "That's right. Ascending heaven plane's exact location has already become an open secret among most Eastern Sea Gu immortals. In ascending heaven plane, there is old eccentric Tian Nan's inheritance. This time, Grandpa will lead the clan's Gu immortals to compete against Kai clan and Ruolai clan, to try to obtain old eccentric Tian Nan's inheritance." Old eccentric Tian Nan, a refinement path supreme grandmaster from the remote antiquity era, he was on par with old immortal Kong Ju and long-hair ancestor over the course of history. According to historical records, old eccentric Tian Nan had a strange personality. He attempted to refine the immemorial nine heavens and ended up dying after failing. Even though Song Yi-shi was spoiled since she was young, she understood the bigger picture. She quickly replied, "Go and deal with that, Grandpa, make sure you utterly defeat them both. You do not need to worry about my matter, but just Uncle Song Xia Qi isn't enough. I want Uncle Song Jia Dan to help me once, to deduce the location of that old lecher." "Huh, my dear granddaughter. Alright, take this token and go to Twin Polar Sea Strait, and find your Uncle Song Jia Dan." Saying so, Song Chi Yuan tossed a token to her. Song Yi-shi quickly caught it and showed a joyful expression. She turned around and left, not even saying a word of goodbye. Twin Polar Sea Strait was covered in a thick layer of fog all year round. In the air, Song Yi-shi stopped. Seeing the fog in front of her, she felt a little troubled. She turned to the middle-aged Gu immortal beside her. "Uncle Xia Qi, how do we get in?" Song Xia Qi's body was filled with a vigorous aura. He smiled lightly and said, "Didn't your grandfather give you a token? Little Yi-shi, you just need to take out the token and your Uncle Jia Dan will sense it." Song Yi-shi held the token high up in the air. A moment later, the fog in front of her started to disperse. A small tunnel appeared. It directly connected to the inside of Twin Polar Sea Strait. Song Yi-shi and Song Xia Qi entered the tunnel and stepped into Twin Polar Sea Strait, meeting Song Jia Dan. Song Jia Dan was a wisdom path Gu immortal that Song clan had specially nurtured. He stayed on the cliff of Twin Polar Sea Strait normally. His upper body was already old and weak, his lower body had been petrified, his legs seemed to have fused with Twin Polar Sea Strait. "Uncle Jia Dan." Song Yi-shi called out. Since birth, she had only met the Gu immortal Song Jia Dan a handful of times, but that did not affect her admiration towards Song Jia Dan. Song Jia Dan had sacrificed his own freedom for the clan. Ever since he became a wisdom path Gu immortal, he had sat here, using his special wisdom path inheritance to fuse with the world. Because of this, Song Jia Dan's deductions and schemes were very brilliant. Every time Song clan had important matters, they would ask him to help and deduce their upcoming fortunes. Right now in the world of Eastern Seas Gu immortals, he was publicly recognized as one of the three most capable wisdom path Gu immortals. The saying goes, Jia Dan sits in Twin Polar, Huan hides in Nan Gong. There is also Dragon Head Tortoise, living inside Adversity Sea. Song Jia Dan had already opened his eyes. He looked at Song Yi-shi and Song Xia Qi expressionlessly. He wanted to smile, but his face was hard like a statue, his muscles were stiff and could show no expression. Even if he opened his mouth, he could only speak very slowly and with much difficulty. "Little Shi, cousin Xia Qi, it has been a long time. Uncle Jia Dan, I am here to ask you to deduce the location of an enemy. This is his appearance, and the aura that I collected." Song Yi-shi passed 2 Gu worms to him. "Let me look at the command token first." Song Jia Dan spoke slowly. Even though he was familiar with Song Yi-shi and Song Xia Qi, he was to be impartial. To make a deduction, he needed to see Song Chi Yuan's command token first. After checking that the token was authentic, Song Jia Dan opened his mouth. A suction force made both of the Gu worms from Song Yi-shi go into his mouth. He shut his eyes and started deducing. A long while later, he opened his eyes. Perplexion shined in his eyes. I could not deduce anything. What? At once, not only Song Xia Qi, who was in anticipation, but even Song Yi-shi, who was very confident, showed immense shock. "Uncle, you are one of the 3 best wisdom path Gu immortals in Eastern Sea, how can you fail the deduction?" Song Yishur asked. Little Shi, don't be anxious. Xianxia's expression turned heavy. Elder cousin Jia Dan, the other party is only a rank 6 lone cultivator that came from northern plains. With your wisdom path attainment, you could not deduce anything. Song Jia Dan was still expressionless. He spoke slowly. Is it strange that I could not deduce anything? I am merely rank 7, even though I have some fame. That is all flattery by nosy people. In the end, I am but a tiny worm in this vast world. All I can do is to predict some premonitions of impending storms. Compared to the world, I am insignificant like an ant. Compared to the grand heroes in this world, I merely control a tiny domain. Song Xiachi smiled bitterly. Cousin, you are still so humble. Song Jiadan said, I am not humble, but as I continue to fuse with this world unceasingly, every time I advance in wisdom path, I can see the glorious view ahead more clearly. The more I learn about the secrets of this world, the more I am aware of my own insignificance. Thus, I am not being humble, I am just being truthful. I am aware of my own status. Song Yishur was discontent. Even if Uncle Jia Dan cannot deduce it, you are still the smartest person, you can surely give a good suggestion. Song Jia Dan was silent for a while. He said, there are 2 possible reasons why I could not deduce it. The first is that the other party is not in Eastern Sea. The second, they have wisdom path techniques that can conceal them from my deductions. Or maybe they could find other wisdom path Gu immortals to help them evade my deductions. Song Yishur and Song Xiachi looked at each other. These 2 reasons were very far-fetched. The first reason, if this old lecher Xianxia was not in Eastern Sea, where could he be? Right now, the earth tide was over, how could he return to northern plains? The second reason, how could Xianxia resist Song Jia Dan's wisdom path attainment? If he had help, this person would need to be at least at Song Jia Dan's level. Was it Nangong Clan's Gu Immortal Huan, or Dragon Head Tortoise Immortal in Adversity Sea who helped him? Uncle Jia Dan, deduce it again. Maybe you just happened to fail. Song Yishur requested as she pouted. Song Jia Dan directly rejected this. No, the clan has an important mission. We have to obtain old eccentric Tian Nan's inheritance. I need to preserve my strength, and prepare my methods, to deduce for this in a few days' time. Uncle Jia Dan, you did not originally put in all your effort. Song Yishur heard this and said unhappily. Alright, you can leave now. Song Jia Dan shut his eyes slowly. Song Yishur was ignored. She gritted her teeth and stomped her feet, helplessly turning around and leaving. To fight for ascending Heaven Plains control, to fight for old eccentric Tian Nan's inheritance, it was a project that the clan had been planning for 100 years. Pursuing Xianxia was just her own personal business. Even though Song Yishur was pampered and spoiled, she could see the big picture and cared for the clan's progress. She was not an ignorant fool. Central Continent, who immortal blessed land, an underground cave. Fong Yuan was bathed in the light of wisdom. He shut his eyes as the star thoughts in his mind shined. He quietly deduced some important things. Last time, he used the light of wisdom to deduce the immortal killer moves, star fire escape and projected star thought. Thus, Fong Yuan currently controlled 6 star path immortal killer moves in total. Star cloud grindstone, star snake rope, 6 illusion star bodies, position star swap, star fire escape and projected star thought. Among them, star fire escape was a movement killer move. It was used extensively in escaping the chase from Song Yishur. As for projected star thought, it was the investigative immortal killer move that Fong Yuan used to expose the immortal zombie Sha Nan Zhang's traces. These 2 killer moves were originally incomplete. They were concepts that predecessors of Star Lord Wanxiang had left behind in the Star Path inheritance. They had encountered difficulties during the deductions and could not progress to complete the killer moves. Fong Yuan's Star Path attainment was only ordinary. Normally under such a situation, these incomplete moves would only be useful as reference to him. But since he had the rank 9 Wisdom Immortal Gu, he could use the light of wisdom and gain unlimited inspiration. He got over the difficulty of a low Star Path attainment level. He forcefully completed the killer moves. It is a pity, in the short time I had, completing Star Fire Escape and projected Star Thought was my limit. After all, I have only 3-star path Immortal Gu now. Of course, most importantly, my star path attainment level is too low. At this time, a moving perspective cup Gu appeared in Fang Yuan's immortal aperture. The information in the Gu came from Xianxia Land's spirit. Xianxia Land's spirit has finally completed the relocation of Xianxia Blessed Land. He can lend that set of immortal Gu to me now. Fang Yuan was overjoyed. This time, he purposely returned to Central Continent from Eastern Sea. It was to wait for Xianxia Land's spirit's news and to relocate Star Form Blessed Land. In Fang Yuan's plans, Star Form Blessed Land was very important. Once the truth that he was the culprit of the incident in Northern Plains becomes exposed, he would have to escape for his life. By then, Immortal Blessed Land would face disaster. If he was still an immortal zombie and could not produce immortal essence, then Star Form Blessed Land would be his sole secret base. However, He Lulan knew about Star Form Blessed Land's location. If He Lulan knew, Fairy Li Shan also knew. Fang Yuan was a vigilant person. Now that he was Star Form Blessed Land's owner, he naturally had to relocate Star Form Blessed Land to a place that only he knew. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 900, Borrowing Gu from Xianxia Land Spirit. Chapter 900, Borrowing Gu from Xianxia Land Spirit. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan did not hesitate. He immediately used fixed immortal travel to go to Xianxia Blessed Land. Xianxia Blessed Land had already undergone a huge change. In the vast sea, 3 continents were facing each other. In the air, there was a 4th continent made from cloud soil. Because there was an intense battle that destroyed much of the Blessed Land, Tai Bai Yunsheng had helped and restored most of it to its original state. Even though Tai Bai Yunsheng did not participate in the battle, he helped repair the Blessed Land after the battle. He earned quite a sum as well. Of course, because some immortal Gu that made up Refinement Cauldron were gone, the space in the Blessed Land shrank. Tai Bai Yunsheng did not have the power to restore the missing space and everything that was in them. The 12 cloud buildings had been rebuilt by Xianxia Land Spirit, split up across the cloud soil continent. In addition, there were many hairy man Gu masters surrounding the 12 cloud buildings, reconstructing even more buildings. I intend to create 12 cloud cities centered upon the 12 cloud buildings. This cloud soil continent in the sky will become the new living area for elite hairy men. After Xianxia Land Spirit saw Fang Yuan, he explained this. Fang Yuan nodded in agreement. Because Xianxia Blessed Land lost a number of immortal Gu, the space inside shrunk by a lot. And because there were many hairy men living in the Blessed Land, they were reaching the limit of the 3 continents. Thus, in this situation, a new area to allow the hairy men to live and propagate was needed. But Xianxia Land Spirit's next words shocked Fang Yuan. Other than this, I have also established Xianxia Sect. This sect system will use Central Continent as a reference. I will be the sect's first Supreme Elder, and the hairy man Gu Immortals will be the other Supreme Elders. My previous self was too foolish. He used these precious Gu Immortals for Gu refinement. To fulfill the dominance of hairy men, bloodshed is necessary. Next, I will start training these hairy man Gu Immortals, nurturing their battle talents. Once they have sufficient strength to protect themselves, I will send them out of the Blessed Land, and let them complete all kinds of sect missions. Also, under my influence, the 3 continents in the sea will erupt in war. From among them, 3 kings will be chosen, and they will create 3 kingdoms on their respective continents. The kingdoms will fight against each other, and each year, my Xianxia sect will pick the most elite hairy men from these 3 kingdoms, and send the elite hairy men to the continent in the clouds. They will become the foundation of Xianxia sect. Furthermore, I will choose a rank 5 peak stage hairy man Gu master as the sect leader of Xianxia sect. The new Xianxia Land Spirit was completely different from the previous one. Maybe he was affected by the attack of Qin Baisheng, but Xianxia Land Spirit had decided to undertake a complete reform of Xianxia Blessed Land. He used hard-handed methods and had the disposition of a conquering Grand Emperor. Different emperors employ different styles of rulership. because of Langya land spirit's change, the hairy men that were living in the lower tiers were undergoing turmoil and difficulties from war, their peaceful and serene lifestyles were not to return. Langya land spirit used such a cruel method to choose the most outstanding hairy men. But this method is simply too wasteful. Fang Yuan felt some pity, there were bound to be large numbers of sacrifices during war. He felt quite a loss inwardly, he might as well use these hairy men for Gu refinement. But Fang Yuan would not say these words openly, he could only mutter in his mind. From Langya land spirit's perspective, hairy men were the most outstanding creatures of all, humans and all other variant humans were underneath them. Fang Yuan raised hairy men and used them as slaves for Gu refinement. If Langya land spirit knew this, he would not accept it, he might even fall out with Fang Yuan. Thus, even though Fang Yuan lacked knowledge and experience of raising hairy men, in the previous discussions regarding the compensation of defending Langya blessed land, Fang Yuan did not attempt to request this even though he knew that Langya land spirit had extremely precious knowledge of how to nurture hairy men. But at this rate, Langya blessed land would undergo a huge reform, the hairy men would start working hard and their battle strengths will rise drastically. Maybe this happened in my previous life. After such a transformation in Langya blessed land, it managed to endure 7 waves of attacks. But this Langya blessed land has hidden undercurrents deep beneath the surface, even though 2 hairy man Gu immortal traders were exposed, we can't be sure that there will not be a 3rd or 4th trader among the rest. The methods of Qin Bai Sheng that can develop traders to this extent in here are really unimaginable. Fang Yuan thought about this as he told Langya land spirit his intentions. Langya land spirit was slightly shocked, he asked again, "Oh. You want to borrow my set of immortal Gu now and relocate your blessed land? I remember I told you this set of immortal Gu will not be cheap. Even on the basis that you fought against strong enemies for us, I told you that you will still need to pay 2,000 immortal essence stones." Fang Yuan took out 2,000 immortal essence stones, handing them to the land spirit. "Look, I've prepared them already." Langya land spirit was greatly shocked, he received the immortal essence stones as he inspected Fang Yuan, his gaze slightly changing. He knew Fang Yuan's foundation and was very surprised, this lad only ascended recently, he already has so many immortal essence stones. Back then when he made transactions with my previous self, he had to earn immortal essence stones by deducing immortal Gu recipes, it showed how poor he was. It seems that these immortal essence stones were mostly borrowed. That is bad if he owes people a huge sum, or even worse, favors. Langya land spirit shook his head, he did not approve of Fang Yuan's actions. But he understood why. He knew that Fang Yuan's crime was simply too absurd. Once it was exposed, he would be in a doomed situation, he would be chased to the ends of the world. Thus, Fang Yuan had to relocate the blessed land. But this point was also the main reason why Langya land spirit wanted to gradually take in Fang Yuan and turn him into a lackey. It was because Fang Yuan was under such a situation, he was faced with enemies everywhere, when he is left without a choice, he would have to join the hairy men, and become a trader of the humans. But what Langya land spirit did not know was, he was completely wrong. These 2,000 immortal essence stones were actually Fang Yuan's own savings. Fang Yuan was rich now, very rich. He earned 180 immortal essence stones from his first transaction of Daoist Gu with Spirit Affinity House. After the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention, Fang Yuan displayed formidable Gu refinement talent. Feng Yang personally invited him to go to Immortal Crane sect and take a look. This was a change in attitude of Immortal Crane sect towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan owned Hu Immortal Blessed Land now, he had room to maneuver between Immortal Crane sect and Spirit Affinity House. As his situation became much easier, and as he considered the dangers of being chased down, Fang Yuan decided to increase the production of Daoist Gu. Once he made this decision, the profits that he earned from Daoist Gu each month reached a total of 300 immortal essence stones. And don't forget, after Fang Yuan took over Star Form Blessed Land, he even obtained Star Lord Wan Xiang's 4 sources of revenue. He even went ahead and established the trade of regretful spiders with Western Desert's Xiao clan. With a total of 6 sources of revenue, he earned over 1,000 immortal essence stones each month. There were still the dragonfish and eerie fire dragon pythons that had not entered the market yet. If he included these two, Fang Yuan's initial estimation was that his monthly profit would reach a total of 1,500. 2 months had already passed since Fang Yuan became the owner of Star Form Blessed Land. He naturally had more than 2,000 immortal essence stones in his current possession. Thinking of back then, when he had just become an immortal, he had to calculate every single stone, looking at prices carefully. He even had to think of how to efficiently use half an immortal essence stone. But now he had over 1,000 immortal essence stones of profit a month. He had truly progressed greatly and taken a huge step forward. He took a really huge step, but Xianxia Land's spirit did not know about it. Even though he was already thinking highly of Fang Yuan, he was still very wrong. Even though Fang Yuan was an immortal zombie with the lowest cultivation level, his immortal essence stone profits approached the level of rank 7 Gu immortals. After paying 2,000 immortal essence stones, Fang Yuan and Xianxia Land's spirit used an information path immortal killer move to form an agreement. Eventually, Fang Yuan gave the land spirit 2 immortal Gu as collateral before he successfully borrowed a set of immortal Gu used to relocate blessed lands. There were 16 of them. Fang Yuan moved without resting. He used fixed immortal travel and returned to Star Form Blessed Land. Star Form Blessed Land had 3 desolate beast spine-fin star dragonfish. Fang Yuan had already seen them before. He did not hesitate. He chose the strongest one. He first moved around the spine-fin star dragonfish, using methods to inspect the dragonfish's size, bone structure, flesh, blood, and other aspects. After confirming that the spine-fin star dragonfish was in a good state, Fang Yuan sat in the air as he shut his eyes while facing the desolate beast. The spine-fin star dragonfish had been tamed since long ago. It obediently floated in the air without moving. Its fish-like eyes that were large as horse carriages shined with some starlight, showing Fang Yuan's reflection from within. Fang Yuan's was calm, but he gradually started getting excited in his mind. Countless star thoughts moved like fireflies filling the endless sky, dancing around in the small area of his mind. These star thoughts split into 2 portions. One portion occupied the right part of his mind, forming a 3-dimensional image of the spine-fin star dragonfish. The other portion was at the left side, forming the image of Star Form Blessed Land. After completing this step, Fang Yuan breathed in deeply as he activated his immortal essence, injecting them into the wisdom path immortal Gu that he had borrowed, and according to the method that the land spirit gave him, he started deducing. 2 lumps of star thoughts flew rapidly. They collided intensely and created a star cloud storm in his mind. In the storm, countless star thoughts flashed continuously, some joined together while others disintegrated. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, in Star Form Blessed Land, after a total of 7 days and 6 nights, Fang Yuan, who was extremely exhausted, opened his eyes slowly. 160,000 star thoughts had been used up in his mind. He even spent 66 beads of immortal essence to activate the wisdom path immortal Gu. After paying such a huge price, Fang Yuan obtained 2 sets of Gu formation charts. Among these 2 Gu formation charts, one was big and one was small. The bigger Gu formation chart reflected Star Form Blessed Land. It had 8 formation cores. The smaller Gu formation chart reflected the spine-fin star dragonfish. There were 4 formation cores. Each of the formation cores needed a specific immortal Gu. In total, both Gu formation charts needed 12 immortal Gu. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know in the report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.